right, let's get into this, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to the YouTube channel. Again, yes, the song is epic. I know. I can't believe I found that song that many years ago, and it's still it hits the same every single time. It's just so damn good. Welcome, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, we're going to be live streaming for the next 2 hours, answering questions, helping you guys out. Of course, the chat is to the right of me, or yeah, to the right of me on that screen. But either way, we're just talking all things related to week one. Of course, there's a lot of injury speculation and, questionable players going into the week. We're trying to figure that out. We're also trying to set the best lineups we possibly can to help us win. Obviously, for some of us, that Thursday night performance either really puts you far ahead or really puts you far behind, because, the contributions of a Josh Allen, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis were fantastic. But then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Matthew Stafford, throwing picks galore. We have Cam Akers doing absolutely nothing. Allen Robinson not getting his, 2 targets total, I think. And I wouldn't even count the second, passing target as an actual target. The dude just threw it out of the end zone. Either way, you're either on the right track or we're trying to catch up a little bit this week. I'm going to try to help you guys as much as I possibly can today. Before we begin, again, if you guys have any questions, type it in the chat. I'm going to try to get to it within the next 2 hours. We're going to be drafting a couple teams via Underdog Fantasy in a little bit. Again, if you guys haven't checked them out, there's a link down in the description. If you use promo code Andrew today when you sign up, you'll get a first deposit match up to $100. For those of you interested, check that out. Thank you very much. All right. So there was a couple messages I saw a little bit above here. This is the stuff I love, guys. The throw up the rock signs. I don't know. It's hilarious. Some of the comments here are absolutely hilarious too. You guys are the best. Thank you. All right. So, should I start Juju or Chris Godwin? Okay, look, here's the thing. So first and foremost, let's address this conversation regarding Chris Godwin. He's questionable to play. Is he going to probably play? Yes. But is he at a capacity to where we can trust him to be the Chris Godwin of old? That's where I'm a little bit, worried. I think I'd rather just play Juju in a pretty favorable matchup and then wait and see what we get out of Godwin, because I don't want to play Godwin, get him playing maybe 40% of the snaps. He gets 5 targets, 4 receptions, 40 yards, right? That would be great for a guy coming off of an ACL, but that wouldn't be Chris Godwin numbers, right? So I'm sitting here thinking most likely I'm probably just going to play it relatively safe with Godwin. Just wait and see what happens. It's the same conversation for like Breece Hall. For those of you, I know there was a question a little bit earlier while I was setting up the stream before I began in regards, hey, are we trusting Breece Hall this week? I'm beginning to lean towards no. I think I'm going to wait. The matchup itself is bad, right? That already kind of puts it off on a bad foot. On top of the fact that yesterday, the New York Jets offensive coordinator, he's a former 49ers offensive coordinator nonetheless, he said that Michael Carter, quote unquote, is the heartbeat of the offense, okay? When you're saying things like that, that doesn't give me much confidence in trusting in Breece Hall week one, unless he's going to break out an 80-yard run, which is obviously, it's possible. But when you're stacking up all the variables for what we know typically leads to a great week, touches, opportunity, receiving work, good matchup, talent, there's more negatives than there are positives in that, factor. Anyway, so I'm going to try to help as much as I possibly can. There were a lot of questions here. How do we deal with Robinson and Akers? Okay, this is another one that I saw that I wanted to mention before we get, going full speed ahead. I don't want to overreact, okay? We have seen multitude of times in week one, players just don't show up. Now, in the case of Akers, not only did he not show up in terms of fantasy points, getting a nice goose egg, but he didn't play often. Now, I don't know if this is a matter of them just not trusting him or that soft tissue injury that he sustained during training camp actually being a factor as to whether or not he was at a limited capacity and on a pitch count. If that's the case, they haven't said anything about it, so we're just going to have to speculate and just assume that as of right now, they don't trust him. So we just have to wait. Again, if you want to move him, you can certainly try. I don't think you'll get anything for him. As for Allen Robinson, I watched the game back already, and I watched it with the NFL Plus sideline angle. It's a lot more zoomed out. The dude was open on multiple occasions. I think he ran 65 routes out of the 65 plays that he was in. He ran a bunch of routes, a lot of them in which he was open. Now, though there were some that were, kind of tight windows, Matthew Stafford could have made a lot of those throws in his direction. Either it was a matter of Matthew Stafford just not throwing in his direction, only looking for Cooper Kupp, or the cover two really just bothering him to the point where Von Miller got there and, quick enough in time to make some plays. But I'm not so worried about Allen Robinson as I am with Cam Akers, because Cam Akers sits there and doesn't even play the first, 2-3 series? That is a little bit concerning. Also, Dawson Knox, someone just mentioned it as I just scrolled down. He was used primarily as a blocker. I mean, the fact that he ran 25 routes the other night and got 1-2 targets? That's a little worrisome. Obviously, down in the red zone is certainly an option there, but just wasn't utilized in that regard. But ultimately, Josh Allen just looked like he was going to throw the ball to the running backs. That's what he did the whole day. Instead of looking for Knox, he just dumped it off. And this is what you get with Dawson Knox. This is what you get with touchdown-dependent tight ends. You get guys that are definitely going to be in that conversation as to if we get down to the red zone, they could score a touchdown and save their week. Otherwise, we're in a little bit of trouble, because the fact that, what was it? I think Singletary had 4 targets, 3 catches, and Zach Moss had 6 targets, 6 catches. If I'm not mistaken, Zach Moss had a ridiculous week for no reason. I mean, it was actually, maybe it wasn't that many targets. Let me see here. What do we at here with Zach Moss? He had a stupid amount of catches. I know that much. But how many were they? Yeah, the dude had 6 catches for 21 yards. So it actually was a stupid number. Nonetheless, I digress. Let's go ahead. Let's move past those players. And let's get into talking about, some of your questions. I see a couple of you sending in donations. I greatly appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and get to those as quickly as I possibly can here. Let's go ahead. Let's see here. I need to go ahead and do myself a favor. I need to close a couple of these apps on this computer before I crash my computer, because too much of an overload would be a bad thing. Okay, so a couple donations were sent in. John Aguilar, thank you very much. I appreciate you contributing to the channel. Just a fair warning to all of you. Tomorrow, I will have updated rankings on the channel here, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, okay? So those will be updated rankings at quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, running back, okay? Top 36 in wide receiver, running back, top 16 in quarterback, tight end. Those will be available on screen for the entirety of that 2-hour stream tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, kickoff with Kirchhoff. We do that every Sunday throughout the season. So if you'd like to join us, that is what we'll be doing tomorrow morning. So if you want updated rankings, that's the best time to get it, because I could very easily give you information right now if you ask a question, and that could change by tomorrow morning if someone's inactive, if someone got hurt, or let's say, for example, Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens, he's not active, okay? That's obviously not good for them, but they haven't played with him for the last 2 years, so it's not that big of a concern. But if tomorrow morning J.K. Dobbins is an inactive and I told you to play him today, things are going to change, right? So just kind of give you a fair warning. Nonetheless, let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and scroll here. All right, John Aguilar, thank you very much. John says, okay, what the heck is going on? Pick 2 in the flex. Okay, we have a full PPR scoring format. We're asking about Michael Thomas, A.J. Dillon, Darnell Mooney, Miles Sanders, and Christian Kirk. All right, so I'm at the position where, again, like I just mentioned, A.J. Dillon, he could very easily have Elgin Jenkins and David Bakhtiari, both his right and left tackle, out tomorrow. There's a very good chance that both those guys are out. They're questionable. They were limited in practice all week long. One's coming off an ACL. I don't know what the status of those guys are. If they're both playing, A.J. Dillon is probably a guy that I want to have in my lineup. Now, the next best player in that regard, outside of Michael Thomas, I'm not really looking to play him week 1. I kind of just want to wait and see what we're going to get out of him, because he's also limited at practice. Mooney's in a decent position to get a boatload of targets. So is Christian Kirk, but they're kind of in the same boat. Miles Sanders there, not going to get any receiving work. So you're kind of in a position where you're probably starting A.J. Dillon, assuming those 2 tackles are active. And then you're probably going with most likely Darnell Mooney in a full PPR. Thank you. Dicer007 says, hi, Andrew. I went heavy wide receiver, and I'm having an RB question. Okay, RB1 is Saquon. RB2, we have the following options. Dylan, Edmonds, Pierce, Carter. Thanks very much. All right, so as of right now, I'm going with A.J. Dillon there, assuming, of course, his tackles are active. If they are not, we would play Chase Edmonds in his stead. That would be the primary 2 that I want to play. I know Chase Edmonds popped up on the injury list earlier this week in terms of having like a groin injury of some sort. He was full to go on Friday, so I'm not too concerned about him anymore. So as of right now, I would go Dillon and then Edmonds. Oscar sends in a donation, says, with Kittle possibly out, is Ayuk a good flex play? I believe so. I talked about him in my episode yesterday in terms of must-start players, due to the fact that Kittle is most likely going to be out. He did not practice all week long, sustained the injury on Monday. The likelihood is, if he's out, there are going to be more targets to be had by these other receiving threats in this offense. Therefore, Ayuk should be a pretty decent play. I think I'm probably creeping him into that top 30 conversation by tomorrow morning. Thank you very much, Oscar. Appreciate it. Jeremy Young says, here's a good one for you, Andrew. Elijah Moore or Chris Olave? I don't think I don't think that's a tough one, in my opinion. I think Chris Olave could very easily play well. Wouldn't surprise me, especially if Michael Thomas is limited to any capacity considering the hamstring injury. But as of right now, Elijah Moore is the guy that I put him on the thumbnail for yesterday's video for a reason. I want him in my lineup. I want to go ahead. And what is this? Well, okay, that's fine. I don't know why YouTube is popping off on those things. Either way, yeah, Elijah Moore is the guy that I want in my lineup, ultimately. If Joe Flacco is the quarterback, I know they're going to throw the ball a lot, and they're going to do it effectively. Even if Joe Flacco comes out and throws 4 interceptions, I can expect him to litter at least one wide receiver with 8 targets. In yesterday's episode, something that completely slipped my mind was that in Joe Flacco's last 5 starts for the New York Jets from 2020 to 2021, he's always had a singular wide receiver with 8 or more targets in that game or 62 or more receiving yards. So when we were talking about pick'ems yesterday in specific, like revolving around Elijah Moore, and his number sitting at 51.5, I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to go higher on that number and kind of outproduce his current, projections per se. So yeah, I'd go Elijah Moore there, Jeremy. Thank you. Lavish sends in a donation. Thank you very much. Would you trade Darnell Mooney for David Montgomery? I think it really depends. If I'm sitting in a vacuum and I have no other context of information as to your team, I would say, yeah, I'd rather have David Montgomery rest season. Because I think the value of a running back, ultimately, again, I don't know your scoring format, but the value of having a stable running back, specifically an RB2 flex option, when there's so many injuries throughout the season, I'd rather, go with the running back. I think it's far easier to find help at the wide receiver position on the waivers as you go out through the season than it is to find a stable running back. So yeah, as of right now, Lavish, I would definitely go for Montgomery there. Tyler T says full PPR flex. Are you confident in Cooks or Sutton? I'm feeling more confident in Sutton. Look, Brandon Cooks is always good. I don't know how, but he just always is. Regardless of quarterback play, regardless of what team he's on, he finds them, he finds a way. He's just that talented. But as of right now, if I'm leaning towards the idea of they're both in, I would say, let's say, for example, they're both similar matchups. Even though they're not, Brandon Cooks is going to have Stephon Gilmore, but let's say they're similar matchups. At that point, I'm thinking to myself, who's going to have more opportunity, who has better quarterback play, and who has a better game script? Quarterback play obviously goes to Sutton. Game script most likely goes to Brandon Cooks because they're going to be trailing the entire time against the Indianapolis Colts. And then we talk about matchup. Again, if Stephon Gilmore is going to be as good as he was a couple years ago, defensive MVP of the league, that could, obviously contribute some problems for a Brandon Cooks. That's why I'll just lean in the direction of Courtland Sutton, who is the number one of that Russell Wilson offense. All right, Sammy Telesco, thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. Again, guys, just a reminder, just so we're all on the same page, okay? I greatly appreciate you guys sending in donations. You certainly do not have to, okay? That is your prerogative. If you want to, by all means, go for it. But I do appreciate it, you guys sending it in my direction. If, in fact, you guys want my full rankings, like top 32 quarterbacks, top 24 tight ends, top 60 running backs, top 80 wide receivers, and then my top 120 flex for this week, that's on Patreon. You sign up $10 a month. Those are there. You'll get, 4 weeks of rankings for $10. I know you guys are sending in $5, $2, $3. It's totally up to you. I'm just saying it's available. The link's in the description if you guys are interested. Okay. Sam says, love the show, bro. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Yeah, listen, I told you guys on that quarterback video on Wednesday, Josh Allen is coming in to send a message. I already knew that the Rams were going to play like dog water defensively, and that's exactly what they did because that's what the Rams do. I'm a Rams fan. I've seen too many games. I've watched them too many times not to know what they're going to do. So obviously they showed up, and Josh Allen sent the message loud and clear for all of us. Silver Soul Jones, thank you very much for the donation. What do we do with Allen Robinson? He says, I'm in a 16-team PPR. I have Kamara, Swift, Sutton, A-Rob, Hollywood Brown, Olave, Russell Wilson, Hunter Henry, Jamal Williams, Ingram, Matt Ryan, Brevin Jordan, and D'Ernest Johnson. I mean, look, as of right now, you're holding on to him. They play against Atlanta next week. I think the week after that, they play against Arizona. I think this is a very similar scenario as to Robert Woods early last year, where everyone was like, oh man, there isn't that chemistry with him. It's all with Cooper Kupp. Eventually, it's going to get there. And when it does, it'll be perfectly fine. I'm not too worried about Allen Robinson, like I was mentioning earlier. I'm far more concerned about the running back situation in LA rather than the wide receiver situation, because I know they're going to be passing the ball a bunch. And with Van Jefferson still out with injury, they're going to have to get more involvement out of Allen Robinson. Moving on, Eric Wright says, ooh, okay, here we go, Eric. Let me see what you got here. Okay, his quarterback is Russell Wilson. Wide receivers are Terry McLaurin, Jerry Jeudy, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks. You need to start 3 in a non-PPR scoring format. Got it. Okay, so I'm for sure playing... okay, we're playing 3 of these gentlemen in a non-PPR. Okay, so as of right now, I think my rankings kind of stay the same in terms of half to standard. I would play Cooks, I would play McLaurin, and I would play DJ Moore. If, in fact, we're in a conversation where KJ Hamler is inactive tomorrow, because I know he's coming off an ACL, and I know he was limited this week, but if KJ Hamler, the number 3 wide receiver for Denver, is out, then and only then tomorrow morning, I would probably update it to the idea of having Jeudy most likely ahead of Cooks. But that's the only thing I would ever change. Otherwise, it would be Cooks, McLaurin, and more. Thank you. Bomb sends in a donation. Thank you very much. Says, hey, Ramondre Stevenson, Melvin Gordon, or Chase Edmonds in a PPR. I would go with Chase Edmonds there. Obviously, we've heard some conversations revolving around Melvin Gordon in terms of their head coach coming out and saying, we're going to run with the hot hand, whether it's Javonte, whether it's Melvin Gordon, we'll see. Okay, beautiful. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, of the 3 primary, especially in a full PPR scoring format, I'd rather have Chase Edmonds in the lineup. Thank you. Stephen Kelly sent in a $2 donation. I appreciate that. I got to go ahead and F3 function here and see if your message just wasn't attached. Oh, you sent in another one? All right, greatly appreciate that. Am I crazy considering fading Evans versus Dallas? Are you crazy? Listen, I don't want to say that the idea of fading him is crazy. I would say that it's insane. Listen, we're talking about the number 1 wide receiver of a Tom Brady-led offense, okay? A guy that scored 27 touchdowns in his last 30 games with Brady, okay? I'm expecting Mike Evans, whether it is 1 catch for, 1 yard at a touchdown, or at least he's going to find the end zone. I have a hard time thinking he wouldn't. I mean, yeah, it's just, let's say, for example, Godwin plays, Julio plays, Russell Gage plays. I still don't see that impeding on his overall target opportunity. I know he didn't play well against them last season. He was more or less used like a distraction at every point while everybody else was feasting. But, I don't think, Godwin can be as reliable. I don't think Julio's going to be as reliable as Antonio Brown was last season. We can obviously see a difference in play ultimately in the last couple of years. Julio taking a little bit of a downturn in terms of his career in comparison to Antonio Brown, who was still looking like the Antonio Brown of old last year. So right now, I would probably say that it's insane to fade Mike Evans. You drafted him to play him. Now, if you're talking about some other capacity, I wouldn't be able to not start my stud. Okay, let's see here. Caleb Rios, thank you very much. AJ Dillon, Travis Etienne, or DJ Moore. Don't know your scoring format, but as of right now, assuming it's a half PPR or a full PPR, I'd probably go DJ Moore in both capacities. Terry R says, drop Mike Davis and add Rachaad White, Zamir White, or Devontae Parker. If in fact you're just looking to pick up one, I'm probably picking up Devontae Parker there. I just want to see what he's going to be able to do. If he doesn't end up doing anything tomorrow against Miami, then you can just drop him the next week. But if you are looking to drop Mike Davis, you have no need for him on your roster, then yeah, you go after Devontae Parker there. If you have Leonard on your roster, Leonard Fournette specifically, I would be like, okay, Rachaad White, maybe that's a good handcuff idea. But as of right now, I would just go Devontae. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it. ASAP Manifest says, do you think Terry McLaurin could be a top 10 wide receiver? He always has the skill to be a top 10 wide receiver. It's always been a matter of whether the quarterback play on his team could elevate him to that level. As of right now, I mean, this week he has a good chance playing against Jacksonville. It's a good matchup. For the full season, finding that consistency, it's purely a matter of whether or not Carson Wentz is going to be able to, help him get to that level. I think it's going to be tough to do so, but it's always possible with Terry McLaurin. He has the skill to definitely accomplish that. Let's see here. CKAC Sports says, Josh Jacobs or Elijah Moore in a half PPR at the flex position. I would play Josh Jacobs there. More opportunity in terms of touches that are guaranteed. I think it's a good matchup ultimately. They haven't really made too many adjustments in terms of helping their run-stopping ability. They've brought in a couple players, but nothing that is going to make that significant of a difference to where I'm scared of playing Josh Jacobs against the LA Chargers on Sunday. Rockout says, Lance or Cousins might be raining in Chicago. Yeah, I did see the report that there's like a 65% chance of it raining in Chicago. That just leads me to believe they're going to throw the ball less and run the ball more. And if Trey Lance is running the ball more, specifically 10 plus rushing attempts, we're probably in a conversation there where he's getting himself 10 points just off the ground production, whether it's touchdowns or rushing yards, that kind of solidifies his base for. If you're kind of worried about that, I don't think Kirk Cousins is a bad idea. Did someone said Kirk Cousins or Daniel Jones start one? I'm playing Kirk Cousins. Go check out my quarterback video. I think I have him at number 14. I have him at 14 this week. Daniel Jones is quite literally, I think, my number 30th ranked quarterback on the week. I don't trust him at all against Tennessee. Appreciate it. Okay, a lot of questions sent in. Okay, I got to be quicker. Courtney, Elliott or Ayuk in the flex? Unsure about Kittle's injury. If Kittle's not active, I'd play Ayuk. Kevin Castillo says, Higgins, Sutton, Gibson in the flex in a full PPR. I would play Higgins there. Thank you. Jack Turner, Rashad Penny, Edmonds or Jacobs, start one only. I'd play Jacobs. We got the Stevens question. Okay. Terry R says, rank these three: Irv Smith, Everett, Freiermuth. I'd play it Freiermuth, Everett, and then last would be Steve Smith. Irv Smith, thank you. Let's see here. Donnie Bravo says, Chubb for Jacobs and Keenan Allen. I have Cook. Thank you, Andrew. Okay. We're talking about trade question here, huh? Chubb for Jacobs and Keenan Allen, and you have Dalvin Cook as your running back? Yeah, I mean, I think if you need a wide receiver, like you're in desperate need of one, then I'm okay with that. But otherwise, if you don't need a wide receiver, that doesn't make an upgrade for your team to where Keenan Allen is consistently starting, then why would you make the move? But yeah, if you're in need of a wide receiver, yeah, I'd make that move. Justin says, what's up, Andrew? Need some advice? Who would you start between Kareem Hunt and Breece Hall? I play Kareem Hunt this week. Thank you. Stephen Hensley says, pick 2 PPR. We have a McLaurin, Penny, Gibson, Juju. In a full PPR scoring format, I think the player that I'm least excited about playing in that 4-man kind of band there would be Rashad Penny. It would then be between McLaurin, Juju, and Gibson. Gibson has higher upside than McLaurin, but I'm probably still leaning in the direction of playing McLaurin and Juju in that regard as of this week, Stephen. Thank you. Hurts or Brady in this league has a 5-point bonus of throwing for over 300 yards and over 100 rushing yards. If that's the case, you get a 5-point bonus. Doing the math in my head. I think Brady threw for over 300 yards like 70% of the time last year. It was kind of a stupid number. So yeah, I'd probably go Brady there. If he's going to get an extra touchdowns worth of just points, just off of throwing, for yardage, I'd probably go there because I think it's pretty unlikely that Jalen Hurts runs for 100 there. Thank you. Antonio Garcia says 10-team full PPR. ETN, Dillon, Edmonds, Lockett, Woods. Pick 2 running backs, 2 flex. Love the content. I appreciate that, Antonio. ETN and Dillon are my 2 in the running back position. And then I would play Edmonds and Woods at the flex. Thank you. Josh Moore. Wait, what the heck happened here? Why did it update like that and break the system? Okay. All right. Here we go. Come on. All right, here we go. Josh sends in a question, says, St. Brown, Waddle, Ramondre, pick 2 in a non-PPR. I'd play St. Brown and Waddle still, even if it's non-PPR. Alam sends in a donation. Thank you very much. Says, Zeke versus the Bucks or Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Philly secondary. I'd play Amon-Ra St. Brown this week. Again, there's a reason why I put him on the thumbnail for today's live stream. I really do think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have himself a pretty good week here, especially if that offensive line is as banged up. I know Vaitai, their right guard, going to be out. Their center, Glass. I'm trying to remember his name. I was gonna say McGovern, but I know that's a different team center. I'm completely. I've lost the name. I know I know the name. I just it's eluded me. Someone's gonna type it in the chat. They're gonna catch me off guard here. I don't even remember what his name. Ragnow. Frank Ragnow. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Nonetheless, if both those guys are out, it is going to be significantly more difficult to run the ball on that Philly front seven, which then they'll have to pass more. And against Devontae Maddox, I think it's a decent matchup for where Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's running more shallow routes, ultimately, is going to be Graham Glasnow. Yeah, okay, it's not the one. Amon-Ra running more shallow routes than, a DJ Chark or a Josh Reynolds or even TJ Hawkinson in some circumstances will probably get the lion's share of targets in that offense if they're trying to move the ball. Okay. Getting back to the question. Johnny Not Bravo says, do I start Hunt, Rashad Penny this week? That's a really good one. I think I want to play Hunt and just wait and see what Penny kind of presents. I think Penny's going to be fine. I just don't know if I can trust him in that regard. As of right now, I'm saying Hunt. It could be changed by tomorrow, but I think I'll probably still play Hunt in that regard. Levi says half PPR. Who should I start in the flex? Devonta Smith, Chase Edmonds, AJ Dillon, or Michael Thomas? I talked about this a little earlier. If Dillon has both of his offensive tackles available, I play him. Otherwise, in this position, half PPR, I play Edmonds. Thank you. Ominous says full PPR. Am I starting Montgomery or Jacobs? I'm starting. Yeah, I think you should start Jacobs. Thank you. Lucky Slevin says pick two in a PPR. We have Debo, Higgins, Deontay. I think the answer has already been given. You have Debo and Higgins on your team. I'd probably play both those guys. The third best option remaining here on your team, Lucky, would be Hollywood Brown. GK92 says, not football related. Do you watch WWE? Great channel. I used to a long time ago. But yeah, no, not anymore. I don't really find time to be able to watch stuff like that. I don't really watch much TV shows. I think the only thing that I've watched as of late has been that new Lord of the Rings show that's come out on Amazon. I think that's about it. And when I say that, when I used to watch WWE, I'm talking about Friday Night SmackDown where The Undertaker is tag teaming with Batista. You know what I mean? Like that long ago. Like, it's been a while. Valentine Garcia, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It says Godwin, Edmonds, Dillon in the flex. As of right now, I'd say Dillon. Thank you. John Weatherly says, need some help in the flex position in a full PPR. We have Bobby Trees or Melvin Gordon. At that point, I'm probably leaning towards, in a full PPR, Bobby Trees. And then you have Eckler, Chubb. Yeah, I think right now, I'm probably leaning towards Robert Woods there. Thank you. What the heck are we doing here? What kind of comments are these? Guys, come on. We got to be more. You guys got to be a little bit better than that, all right? Otherwise, I'm going to have to take the chat down. Okay. Ruthless aggression era. Yeah. Like John Cena just starting. Yeah. Okay, so we've been answering some questions. Let's see here. Do you like Kelsey's chances of scoring a touchdown? Anytime touchdown for Kelsey? I mean, I like his chances of scoring a lot of points. As to whether he scores a touchdown, man, okay, let me look this up. Because I can give you a little bit of an indication as to where I'm leaning in that regard. So last season, in terms of total targets for the Kansas City Chiefs in the red zone specifically, let's see what we're looking at here. Last season, Kansas City Chiefs red zone. These are rushing attempts. I need receiving. Okay, targets. Here we go. Boom. All right. So let's see. Where was Kelsey last season in terms of his opportunity? So Tyreek Hill last year, inside the 10-yard line, had 10 targets. He had 9 targets, and that led to 6 receiving touchdowns. Kelsey himself, inside the 10-yard line, had 9 targets that led to 6 receiving touchdowns as well. The other primary red zone targets inside the 10 were McCole Hardman with 7 targets, Darrell Williams with 5, Pringle with 3, and Noah Gray with 5. And then Jerick McKinnon had nothing, Clyde Edwards with 2, Robinson with 1. So there's a good amount of opportunity available. I'd say that much. So if you're talking about when they get down to the red zone, especially get down into the goal line situation, they're not really handing the ball off to many running backs. They'd rather run that little stretch play where Kelsey, motions across the formation right in front of Mahomes, and he just flicks it forward to him as he's faking the little pitch. He just flicks it forward. He runs it in on like a counter power base, and they're off and running. So is he going to score a touchdown? As of this moment, I'm thinking he's got a better chance than not. Okay, so I'm going to get to continue answering these questions. I know a couple of you sent in some donations. I'm going to get there in a second, but what I want to do is change screens real quick. Okay, let's answer a couple more and we'll change screens. Alexander Holmes says, Elijah Moore or Marquise Brown? Yeah, Elijah Moore isn't that fantastic. I think Marquise Brown is in a far better position considering Ertz is dealing with the injury. Rondale Moore is already out. And outside of AJ Green, Hollywood Brown, I mean, who else are they throwing the ball to, right? So yeah, I'd play Hollywood there. Brandon D says, hello, flex. We're at full PPR. We have Damian Harris or Rashad Bateman. I play Bateman there. Terry R says, drop Freiermuth for Mike Davis plus Parker. My top tight end is Ertz. No, I wouldn't drop Freiermuth. I'd keep him because Ertz might not play tomorrow, to be totally honest. New Life says, Isaiah Likely to start and rest of season. Your thoughts? Isaiah Likely, listen, I am very seldom going to start a rookie tight end in my lineup in week 1. So unless it's Kyle Pitts from last year, that's the only point where I'm like, yeah, I'm confident starting a rookie tight end. It's not even just a rookie tight end. It's a rookie tight end that is the backup to Mark Andrews, right? So yes, he's going to get opportunity. He has a great matchup, but I'm not starting him. Am I picking him up? I have him in one of my leagues that has an 8-man bench. It has an 8-man bench basically so that we have to trade. Nonetheless, I have him on my bench while my starting tight end is David Njoku. So if anything goes wrong later in the weeks, we'll figure it out. Corbin, what's up? How's it going? All right. Maz says, thank you, Andrew, for all the content. What are your thoughts on which 2 we should start? Dude, there's 800 of you in here. What? Yo, what are we doing? There's a lot of you in here, huh? Hey, listen, reminder, okay? Reminder, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be live streaming here on the channel with updated rankings on the screen. Top to bottom, updated list at tight end and quarterback, top 16 both, top 36 running backs and wide receivers updated as of tomorrow morning. I'll be answering questions for 2 hours before kickoff. So just a reminder, if you guys want those rankings, they'll be on screen tomorrow for sure, updated. Another reminder, I know a lot of you, because there's 800 of you in here, I thought I might as well go ahead and announce it. So I know a lot of you in the comment section had mentioned, hey, Andrew, we liked the way that the graphics looked last year, where we could see the players so that we could have a visual representation rather than just like trying to scroll. I hear you loud and clear, okay? I have literally been working 18 hours a day for the last 2 weeks to, improve graphics, get them on the right track. Easy peasy, we're getting there. I've spent even more time in the last couple of days trying to give you guys what you want, okay? I'm going to get into that conversation of, yes, we're going to bring back the list. It's not going to be on screen the entire time, but we'll go ahead and after we finish the top 12, boom, I'll throw it up on the screen and we'll have all top 12 ready to go. It's going to look a lot better than last year. I'm telling you guys, the amount of effort I put into these graphics should not be undersold. Guys, it is, I'm telling you, I'm making better looking graphics than the worldwide leader of sports. I'm making better graphics than ESPN. Just wait till Monday. I'm telling you, just wait till Monday and Tuesday. Woo. Okay, so now that we've made that comment, we got a lot to live up to. There was a question that was sent in. What are your thoughts on which 2 we should start? This is Mass. That's sent in M-A-Z. Which 2 I should start? We have Sutton, Myers, and Judy. I would just play both the Denver receivers. Myers was already limited this week at practice. He was hobbling around. I don't want to play a hobbled wide receiver, especially against Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. That matchup just doesn't seem like the perfect one. So I play both those Denver guys. You're pretty much guaranteed to get any of those passing touchdowns that Russell Wilson's going to throw. And I'm assuming he's going to throw at least 2. So hopefully those end up in the right hands. Certify sent in a donation, says, in a full PPR scoring format, start 2 wide receivers in a flex. We have McLaurin, Higgins, Waddle, Pollard, Patterson. Okay, Patterson, no thought. I'm just not even going to consider that as an option. So if I'm playing 2 wide receivers in a flex and a full PPR out of the available options, Higgins, Waller, McLaurin, those are the 3 that I'm for sure playing. Also, am I okay with Kyler as my quarterback? in the 6th and Kirk as his backup. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Because at least you have the insurance policy of having a backup quarterback in case Kyler gets, hit with an injury. Hopefully it's not going to be the case, but we know that mobile quarterbacks are more inclined to get injured, rolled ankles, get stepped on, tweak a knee. It's always possible because they're running the ball far more and getting hit more. Let's hear. Lewis says, in a half PPR scoring format, I'm thinking about playing Judy, but Sanders has a great matchup and Deontay Johnson or Deontay Johnson. Okay. I'm starting Javonte and Denver defense. Just don't want to go heavy on Denver. Okay. In a half PPR scoring format, I probably, if Deontay Johnson is active, which I'm assuming he's going to be, I'd rather play Deontay. And that's probably where I'd go in that regard over Judy. Kyle Freeman in a full PPR. I have Adams as a lock as my wide receiver. I need a wide receiver 2 in a flex spot that are open. Okay. So of the available options that you have, I'm playing Hollywood Brown and I'm playing Jalen Waddle. Thank you very much, Kyle. I appreciate it. CB says, full PPR, Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard, MVS. Kareem Hunt, Tony Pollard, MVS. Okay. If we're playing one only, I'm probably playing Kareem Hunt. I want to hope that Tony Pollard is going to be that slot receiver this weekend. Okay. Because all the reports are kind of leaning in the direction that Noah Brown is the number 2 wide receiver option of that team. Okay. Because Jalen Tolbert is most likely going to be a quote unquote healthy scratch. If that's going to be the case, and Jalen Tolbert is going to end up missing tomorrow or Sunday night's game, then Tony Pollard is going to have to get some utilization in the receiving game. But with that being said, of the available options you have, I think I'm just kind of leaning in the direction that I kind of want to wait and see what Tony Pollard does. I want to see how they utilize him in comparison to last year. If the guy is still going to get 10 touches a game and 8 of those on the ground this upcoming week and only 2 receiving, targets, he's not going to do anything against Tampa Bay because they're so damn good at stopping the ball. I mean, let's think about Tampa Bay's run-stopping defense, okay? Their base set of defense. Their defensive line is William Golston, Vita Vea, and they just brought in Akeem Hicks. I mean, how the heck are we supposed to stop? I mean, how are you supposed to run the ball on that? That's my question. They've got Levante David back there. They got, Shaq Barrett's coming off the edge. They're a good run-stopping defense. That's all I got to say. It's just going to be tough. So right now, yes, I'm leaning in the direction of Hunt. MVS is more of a, you're assuming he's going to score a touchdown, and that's why you play him. Okay, let's hear team thoughts. This is from Lank Dog. We're in a 10-team PPR. 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex. Oh my God, am I setting your lineup or am I just telling you about? I mean, what are we doing here? I don't mind setting the lineup. I mean, you have Hurts. I play him over Fields. Swift, Barkley. I definitely play both them. We have Harris, Hendo. Okay, we're not worried about that. Carter, that's good. Algier, okay, we don't worry about that right now. We have DJ Moore, Gabriel Davis, Allen Robinson. Okay, so hopefully you're starting, DJ Moore and Gabriel Davis as your 1 and 2 because that's where we had them higher ranked this week. If you ended up playing A-Rob in the flex, no problem. We'll figure that out in future weeks if Godwin gets healthy. Otherwise, you have Kelsey and you're good to go. Yeah, I mean, that's a good-looking team. Just started as such, player studs. It's me, Jay says, full PPR. Connor, Monty, Pierce, Dylan, need 2. If I'm starting 2 this week, it's Connor and Montgomery. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Jay. Ricardo says, Amari Cooper plus Damian Harris versus Barkley. What side do you rather have? Are we talking about a trade? Because I'd rather have Barkley rest the season over those 2 guys. But if we're talking about who's going to score more fantasy points this week, I'd probably lean in the direction of the 2 players versus the 1. But yeah, I didn't understand what exactly you meant by which side. If it's a trade question, yeah, I'd take Barkley there. D. Porter says, hey there. Who do you like the best out of these 3 potential wide receivers? McLaurin, Waddle, and Judy. McLaurin, Waddle, Judy. This week specifically, I prefer McLaurin out of the bunch. It would probably be ranked McLaurin, Waddle, Judy in that exact order. Appreciate that, D. Porter. Sir Shifty says, full PPR. Who do I start in the flex? Kareem Hunt, Bateman, Kirk. Kareem Hunt, Bateman, Kirk. Okay, in a full PPR scoring format, I probably go... do I want to play Bateman against the Jets or do I want to play Christian Kirk versus Washington? I'm thinking Christian Kirk most likely. Because I can probably guarantee that Christian Kirk catches the ball 5 times for 50 yards. Right? If I can get to that 10-point base, I'm pretty happy with the week. Anything more, fantastic. And I doubt he could get anything less. I mean, he's going to be the primary slot receiver of that offense. So would be good to go there. You have Nick Chubb in the starting lineup. That does make me want to play Kareem Hunt a little bit more, but I think I'm still going with Christian Kirk there. Valenzuela says 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We have Waddle or 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Waddle or B Cooks in the flex position. As of right now, I'd go Waddle. Jake St. Paul says pick 2, half PPR. All right, Jake, let's see what you got here, my guy. Kareem Hunt, Bateman, Michael Thomas. In a half PPR, I'm probably playing Bateman and Hunt. I don't know what to do with Michael Thomas just yet. Again, let me look at the injury report here. Let's go New Orleans injury report, week 1 of the 2022 season. So Traquan Smith is out. Dwayne Washington's out. Okay, but we don't really care about those. We're looking for Michael Thomas. Limited all week. Did not have a full participating practice the entire week. Now, I've still seen players be limited all week long and still play on Sunday and play well. But at this current moment, I probably just stay away from him and I just play the other 2 options because I know they're healthy and I know they're going to be on the field for a good amount of reps and get enough touches to make them viable options. Rico says ETN, Michael Thomas, or Christian Kirk right now. I would play ETN. Maz says trade JD McKissick for D'Ernest Johnson. Too early? Yeah, I think it's too early. Okay. Now that we've gone ahead and done this, reminder, guys, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start drafting teams. I'm going to continue to answer some questions, but I wanted to travel to Underdog Fantasy because I want to draft some teams and get some stuff going. Thoughts on Allen Robinson? I mentioned it earlier. Don't panic about him. He played majority of the snaps. He ran majority of the routes. It's just a matter of them getting their rapport together. It reminds me a lot of what Robert Woods dealt with at the beginning of last season. I know Robert Woods week 1 last year scored a touchdown, but it's not like he had that many targets either. It's just a matter of them eventually getting to that position. What are your thoughts on Taysom Hill? Could be a key factor in fantasy. As a tight end, sure, if he's playing quarterback, but if he's just playing tight end, I can't guarantee that he's going to get touches. I'd have to see more work out of him for me to feel more confident on the matter ultimately. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me move some stuff around here. And let's go ahead and let's draft some teams, shall we? I want to go ahead and hop into one of these battle royales via Underdog. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So we're going to go ahead and transition screens here. Again, if you guys haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, it's another way to play fantasy football. You can sign up today using promo code Andrew. When you do so and make a first-time deposit, you get a deposit match up to a first-time deposit match up to $100. So if you deposit $20, they will match it to $20. You'll start with $40. You can draft some teams, play some pick'ems. We'll go over some pick'ems in a little bit, but I just wanted to go ahead. There's a $5 entry to one of these, draft contests. So basically, they take the entire slate of games from Sunday. So let me scroll here. So we have everything from the 10 a.m. games all the way to the afternoon games, okay? So it does not count Monday Night Football, does not have Sunday Night Football. So we have the entire majority of the slate of games available, and I'm just competing against 6 others, trying to draft the best team as I possibly can to score the most points as I possibly can. So we're going to do that. In the meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead, answer some questions in the chat as I'm drafting here on Underdog. I have the 6th pick. Okay, we're probably going to start with a tight end and a running back there, but we'll see what's available. I've done a couple of these drafts earlier. I'll show you one of the teams I put together earlier. It's relatively simple to find higher value guys later at the running back position. A lot of people don't lean in on that, even though it's half PPR. Let's see here. Half PPR, Deontay Johnson, Judy Penny. I'd probably play just Deontay there. Okay, a couple more questions were sent in via donations. Markel Adams, thank you. Deontay Johnson or Elijah Moore in a full PPR scoring format? I'm probably leaning towards Deontay Johnson there. If he's healthy and he's ready to go, I'm not too worried about him being a participating factor in that offense. I know he's dealing with a shoulder injury, but if he's good enough to go, then he's perfectly fine to be in my lineup against Eli Apple in that primary coverage. M. Lawful says, Allen Robinson, Stafford's elbow, or Bills pass rush. Got to pick 2. 12-team PPR. Listen, I'll take the Bills pass rush because, my goodness, how many sacks did they have the other night? Von Miller was killing Noteboom. And it's man, what's funny too? Noteboom left that game with a knee strain. I know it's not funny, but it's funny to me that they got beat up so badly by Buffalo. Noteboom came out of that game with a knee strain, and the center, Brian Allen, he's going to have knee surgery. He's going to be out for like 2 weeks. So the LA Rams just got bopped. I mean, completely cooked. It is what it is. That's what happens. A little bit of a hangover after you think that you're the best team and you could just walk into any game and win. You gotta get more than one wide receiver going. The fact that Van Jefferson wasn't there, they couldn't split that cover 2 and kind of stretch that, was certainly a problem, but it is what it is. All right, let's see here. Philip sends in a question, says, pick 3 in a full PPR. JT, Kamara, Barkley. Okay, those guys are obviously starting. All right, am I on the clock? Beautiful. All right, so at this point, looking at the available options, I think I can get value at running back a little bit later. So I'm going to go Jefferson here, and then I'm going to take Kelsey here, and we'll just let it ride. Actually, I should have taken Andrews. Andrews is a higher... I'm completely cooked. I just looked at Travis Kelsey there, and I took him. Doesn't matter. We're hoping for the best. But Mark Andrews is higher ranked in my rankings. I would rather have him, and, you know, I've kind of sold the bag in this regard, nonetheless. So let me look at this. What do you have here, Philip? Pick 3 in a 12 PPR. We have 3 good running backs, and then you have Waddle, Judy, and Bateman. Should I move running back for wide receiver or stay with 3 hero RBs? You're fine with your 3 hero RBs, Philip. You're good to go, man. Just start 2 of those guys as the primary, play Barkley in the flex, and then play Waddle and Judy at your primary 2 wide receivers. You're good to go. Jason sends in a question, says Dameon Pierce or Ezekiel Elliott, Sutton or Elijah Moore. I'd play Sutton over Elijah Moore. And I don't want to, but I'd rather play Dameon Pierce over Ezekiel Elliott. I just don't know if Zeke is going to be able to get the job done, I'm going to be totally honest. Unless Zeke falls into the end zone, I don't see him breaking off major runs. I don't see him making those ridiculous plays like he has in years past. He's just not at that point anymore. Let's see here. Rich L says half PPR. Pick 2, Deontay Johnson, Kareem Hunt, or Bateman or Elijah Moore. If I'm picking 2, I'm playing Deontay and I'm playing Elijah Moore. Ferris says Damian Harris, Brandon Ayuk, AJ Dillon. Damian Harris, Brandon Ayuk, AJ Dillon. I'm probably, considering I don't know you're scoring from, I'm probably playing both those running backs, to be honest. Especially if it ends up being a rain game in Chicago tomorrow morning. I'd probably just play both running backs. All right, what do we have here? So I still have the ability to get a lot of running backs. I'm looking at Mixon all the way down here. I'm looking at Najee Harris all the way down here as guys that I could probably snag. If I'm looking for total upside, at this point, I like Jalen Hurts. I'm only picking together like a 6-man roster. So I'm going for ultimate upside. So, ooh, you know what? Hold up. Tyreek Hill's still here. So I'm going to take Tyreek Hill. Let's go for like ultimate game-breaking upside. And then I could probably come back and get another relatively talented running back later on in this draft. So we'll just take Hurts and we'll see what happens. Okay, what do we have here? So we did Ferris's question. We're going both those running backs. Ventura says 2 wide receivers in a PPR scoring format. We have Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Jerry Jeudy, Kadarius Toney, AJ Green, Chris Olave, or Alec Pierce. And then would I play Melvin Gordon over Breece Hall? Yeah, I'd probably play Melvin Gordon over Breece Hall this week. I mean, they're probably in the same role, but I'm assuming that Melvin Gordon most likely finds more success based on what that head coach has been saying about them running their hot hand. If I'm picking 2 wide receivers out of this group, it's most likely, oh man, do I even want to risk it there? So I think you're playing Julio or Chris Godwin in one of those spots, and then the other spot probably belongs to Kadarius Toney. As to what determines whether you're playing Chris Godwin or Julio, you're probably playing Chris Godwin if he's healthy. If he's not, you just roll with Julio. Like healthy as in active. Okay, let's see here. Austin says Dameon Pierce or Darrell Henderson. Dameon Pierce and Darrell Henderson for AJ Dillon and Alexander Madison. Do I want to trade 2 starting running backs for 1? That's pretty much what you're asking me, because at this point, Darrell Henderson is a starter until further notice. So I'm probably leaning towards keeping those starting running backs as much as I can. I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. I don't know. Do you have Dalvin Cook? Because Alexander Madison would make a difference if you have Dalvin Cook. But ultimately, I'm probably just sticking with the 2 primary backs that I can get there. Leo says, who do you like rest of the season, Higbee or Everett? In my rankings, prior to the season beginning, I had Higbee higher ranked. I think I had Higbee at like 16. I had Everett at like 18 or 19, something of that exchange. As of right now, I'd probably still say that Higbee rest season, better odds. Okay, I see a couple questions being asked in the chat that could very easily be answered from my rankings videos that I posted. A couple questions from quarterback and tight end. Someone asked Njoku or Komet. I'd rather play Njoku. Someone asked Carr or Cousins. I'd rather play Cousins. All right, at running back, again, I still have Joe Mixon available, and I still have Aaron Jones. This is my last 2 picks. Who else is available at wide receiver? A.J. Brown. I could end up completely going off the beaten path. I'm going to take Joe Mixon. Wait, what the heck am I doing? Give me Joe Mixon. And then, to be honest, just give me the other running back. What the heck am I doing? Let me just take Aaron Jones. All right, I'm okay with that team. Not a bad roster, to be honest. I mean, I know it's a 6-man league, but in terms of being able to compete, at least I got some playmakers. I don't know why Mixon is so low ranked in terms of ADP. Why is everybody sleeping on him? That's interesting. Okay, let me look at the chat. What's going on here? Start Breece Hall or Pierce? I'd rather play Dameon Pierce, to be honest. Elliott or Hunt? I think I'm probably playing Hunt there, Oliver. Start Penny or Sutton? I'd rather play Sutton. Where are we at? Ayuk or Juju? I'd play Juju. Yeah, I play Juju Smith-Schuster. Renfro, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. If I'm thinking between 2 of them, I mean, they both have pretty relatively high upside because of the roles that they play within their offenses. But am I 100% in on playing Renfro this week? Probably not. I'd rather play Amon-Ra. Am I crazy, or is Austin Hooper being slept on? Is he being slept on? To an extent, okay? If we were to assume that the Tennessee Titans were going to use Austin Hooper like they did with Jonnu Smith a couple years back, sure, he's being slept on. But we can't really make that assumption, because all we've seen out of the Tennessee Titans offense, specifically last year in their utilization of tight end, Tannehill targeted the tight end position 9% less from going from 2020 to 2021. They also used the committee situation of, Jeff, what is it? I forget his last name. Jeff Swaim. They also used Anthony Firkser. They used a bunch of different tight ends in a rotation that was worrisome. If they do the same thing again this year, where they have a rotation and we're assuming, Hooper's the primary, I'm sure Hooper could come out of nowhere and be a pretty good weekly option for us, but it's just not the best. Let me look at some of these other teams that I put together. So this is the one I was talking about. A little bit earlier, I put together a squad where I have Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, and Mark Andrews. That's a squad right there. If we're looking to score some points, what's the other squad I put together? We have Herbert, Taylor, Chubb, Jefferson, Mike Williams, Hawkinson. Tight end position wasn't obviously taken advantage of early enough by me, but nonetheless, some rosters there. All right, let me go ahead. Let me draft another one of these. Actually, you know what? Let me hop into the pick'ems conversation here. Let's go ahead. Let's transition here. Let me fix the screen off a little bit. We'll scroll down this list. We'll talk about some of these stats. We'll see what's up. Again, if you guys want to sign up, play Underdog, play Underdog Fantasy, whether it is, picking higher or lower on given statistics, whether it's drafting some teams for this weekend's contest, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description using promo code Andrew today. When you sign up using the code, you'll get a first deposit match up to $100 when using code Andrew. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Let's see. A couple more questions in the chat. Miles Sanders or Robert Woods? I'd rather play Miles Sanders. If I'm risking it at that point, yeah, let me just have Miles. Listen, I might be the only person in the world that believes in Miles Sanders still. I might be. And I might be foolish to do so, but the way that I look at, the game of fantasy football may be different than others. And the way that I look at it, when you see such a great opportunity in terms of matchup, and you see a primary running back that is going to be the, full-time guy there, and the last time we saw him on the field, the guy was running the ball 19 times per game. I'm relatively confident that they want to get him the ball. If he scores a touchdown, he's already better than he was all of last season. Now, if he gets a touchdown stolen from him, like it did happen on multiple occasions down inside the 5-yard line, again, I talked about it this offseason, Jalen Hurts stole 5 touchdowns inside the 5-yard line while Miles Sanders was on the field. I went and watched literally every red zone snap of their offseason. I think somebody earlier in the stream was asking me, Andrew, how much do you sleep during the offseason? I watch a lot of film in the offseason. I do a lot of research. I don't sleep as much as I do now than I do in the offseason. I certainly sleep a lot more in the offseason, but now, I mean, again, like I was mentioning, I think I'm working like 16, 17-hour days, just grinding out content, trying to get everything ready for the next day. All right, let's see here. A couple more questions came in. Pierce or Chase Edmonds? I'd rather play Chase Edmonds. What the heck is that? Okay, how dare you send in a donation? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, so you know what I'm doing? Yeah, I'm probably just going to go back to drafting teams because answering questions and going through this pick'ems list, this giant one, we'll get through the pick'ems list in a bit. I'm probably just going to go back to drafting teams That's most likely the better idea at this point. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna hop into another battle royale. We'll see what happens. But otherwise, yeah, I'll be back to answer y'all's questions because I know there's a lot of you and a lot of questions to be asked. Okay, so let me see here. How dare you says pick a flex: Godwin, Mostert, or Cordero Patterson. I'd go with Godwin there. I'd only ever consider Cordero Patterson if I was, I had some sort of inside information as to whether or not he was going to play well. Of course, Cordero Patterson, he's capable of taking a ball out of the backfield for 30 yards and a touchdown at any given moment, right? Anybody is. So is Raheem Mostert. But if I'm picking one, I'm more likely to assume confidence in Chris Godwin, even though he is limited or may not even play. But considering you're in that situation, you may have to just have another option because they play on Sunday night. So if you don't have a Monday night player, or if you don't have another Sunday night player that if Chris Godwin isn't named active until like 10 minutes before the game, you may have to find somebody else on roster. Otherwise, at that point, you just kind of have to roll with Cordero Patterson and hope for the best, which really I'm not too excited about. Tim Jenkins 502 says, I was late to the tight ends in my big money league draft. I started streaming tight ends. Is that okay? Yeah. Is streaming tight ends a viable option? I think it is. I think streaming defense, kicker, tight end, you could very easily get away with. If the rest of your team is at its base strong enough and consistent enough, you can very easily stream at the position and find success. Because truly, when you're looking at tight ends on a weekly basis, if we look at weeks 1 through 18 of last year, the top 12 performers from weeks 1 through 18 across the board, there was like 216 of them or 256. I don't know the math. Let me see here. What's 18 times 12? Somebody faster than me? Maybe they're faster than my calculator. 216. I knew it. My math is too good. If this guy leaves Austin Eckler or Christian McCaffrey, actually, yeah, I get either of them. So at that point, I'm pretty happy with that selection. Of the 216 performances, I think it was like 78% of those performances accounted a touchdown or accompanied a touchdown. At that point, if you're going to stream an option, you're looking for touchdown upside purely. So, nonetheless, you said TJ Hawkinson is who I have currently. I also picked up David Njoku. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think TJ Hawkinson is someone that you can play on multiple occasions. He's obviously got an extremely advantageous matchup this week, so we're going to just ride with him. I don't think that's more of a streaming option. I think that's a guy that could play for you all season long, considering how much success he has found with Goff. 10.44 fantasy points per game and a half PPR on average with him in the lineup. Okay, let's see what's available for me at wide receiver. Jamar Chase is still here. That sounds like that's a deal. Or I go with Mark Andrews. Do I want the significant tight end upside? Yeah, let's go with the tight end upside. All right. Let me go ahead. Let me get back to the chat real quick. Again, I want to thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. If you guys, like the streams, we can do this every Saturday. I planned on every now and then changing it up, maybe having my like rest of season strength of schedule videos, trade target videos on Saturdays, just so we're all on the same page. But if this is something you guys want and you guys continue to come out and support the way you have today, I'll be more than happy to come out and live stream on Saturdays. I know you guys want me to stream more, but it's tough to fit it into the schedule. I'll try my best to get like 3 streams a week if I can, henceforth, counting Saturday, Sunday, and then maybe like after Thursday Night Football or after Monday Night Football. We'll just have to see where we want to squeeze that in. Okay, or maybe like a Tuesday night one for like waiver wire questions. People come in, ask some waiver wire questions. I'll stream it. Get everything settled for like Tuesday nights going into Wednesday waivers. Either way. Did somebody ask me Albert O or David Njoku? I'm leaning towards David Njoku right now as of this moment. I wouldn't mind the Albert O play. I still think he's a top 16 tight end on the week. I just don't know if it's if I'm that confident in him to lean in that direction. Ferris said full PPR. Okay, we already did that one. I probably lean with both those running backs. Okay, what do we have here available? Someone took Mixon relatively early, so that means I probably could get Swift late in this draft. Or I don't even need a third running back. I could just go wide receivers galore here, which may be the play. If Mike Williams is available after this, that's probably where I'm going. Otherwise, it's Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown. Michael Pittman is so low on this list. Why is T. Higgins so low? Why is his ADP 33.1? That's like criminally low. Actually criminally low. Am I going all in on the Chargers here? Should I just make a Chargers squad? Is Herbert still available? He is. Maybe we just go Mike Williams here and just hope for the best. All right, let's see. Brandon Brown sent in a donation. Thank you very much, Brandon. I appreciate that. Trade one, Brandon Cooks for Michael Thomas. Should I trade Michael Thomas? Brandon Cooks. I'd rather probably have Brandon Cooks because of his consistency throughout his career. I just don't know what to expect from Michael Thomas. Like, if Michael Thomas, if you can guarantee me he's going to be top 20 level, I'd rather have him over Brandon Cooks because I believe Michael Thomas has more potential upside. But I can't guarantee that he is going to be a top 20 wide receiver this year, like Brandon Cooks is most likely going to be based on his, doing that in 6 out of the last 7 seasons. That's the only reservation I have in that regard. Did Herbert get taken? Of course he did. Do I take Lamar? Most likely here. Looking at available options, I don't want any more Chargers on my team. I could get Debo here. Yeah, that's probably the play then. Let's just take Debo and let it ride. Let's see. Again, a lot of these drafts that you guys see on screen, it's a matter of knowing what the ADP of some of these players are in their current sense and being able to manipulate it. Like, I knew that Debo Samuel is being valued lower than other people than other people may think. I have him higher in my idea of rankings. So you can get away with taking a player like that later on, but nonetheless. Thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? Should be pretty decent this week, assuming his 2 offensive tackles are active. If you have, both David Bakhtiari and Jenkins out, we're in trouble because that pass rush from Minnesota is that much more viable, which would be a little bit of a concern in my eyes. Let's see here. Denial says Ayuk, Bateman, or Pierce in the flex. Started Allen Robinson, sad face. I'd probably go Ayuk there. PPR, by the way, yeah, that was my assumption. Yeah, I'd go probably Ayuk there. Should I start Zach Ertz or use a backup? Alex, I'm probably leaning in the direction of just using a backup anyway. If you have a viable enough option as a backup, you should think about it, because if it's a calf injury and he could very easily re-aggravate it by playing on it, again, he was out for a full month from August 4th to just this week. That, leads me in the direction of most likely kind of just chilling and waiting to see what the heck happens. All right, considering the quarterback position, I'll probably go Trey Lance here on the bottom of the gang. What do we have available? Najee Harris is still, I don't understand we're looking for ultimate upside. People are obviously worried. I'm going to go wide receiver. I'm going to take T. Higgins. I don't know why he's so damn low. And I'm just going to pair him up with Joe Burrow because I'm expecting Burrow to come back here to me. And if he doesn't, then I'll just take Trey Lance. Okay. Jack says Kittle 100% not playing. No, but I'm leaning towards it's most likely going to not be the case that he does. I'm leaning towards the idea that he doesn't play, because he missed the entire week of practice. And I saw someone say, is it going to be raining in Chicago? We're going to figure that out tomorrow. Again, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be here live streaming with updated rankings on screen with a singular purpose of trying to get you guys ready to go for week 1. We will have all that information in terms of weather concerns, all that kind of squared away with, and rankings will obviously kind of represent those concerns and whether or not I still have them based on all that kind of conversation. So I'm not too worried about it as of right now. We'll have to wait and see what it looks like tomorrow. Obviously, if they're saying there's a 65% chance of rain, it could very easily rain, but it could just be for 1 quarter and then it just moves on. Joey B, we'll take him, and we'll just finish off with a interesting looking team here. Triple wide receiver. ETN or Ayuk in a full PPR. I'd probably play ETN there. Rashad Penny or Ayuk. Rashad Penny or Ayuk. The full PPR. I think Vast asked this question earlier. Let me see here. Where were you at, Vast? I don't remember what your scoring format was. And it's like updated to the point where it's off screen. Okay, what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead. We're going to travel. Boom. Okay, that's better off. We'll scroll back up on this list, and then I'm just going to kind of scroll down, and we'll figure some pick'ems out here. Okay, Hunt or Dillon in a half PPR. Purely depends on the offensive tackles. Vast, you said full PPR. I'd probably play the receiver then in that case, Vast. CH or Dillon. I'd probably play Dillon, but again, okay, this will be the last time I say it. I'm only playing Dillon if his offensive tackles are healthy. If they're not healthy tomorrow and they're not active for the game, I cannot play them. So that then brings up the conversation of, okay, Andrew, when do we know if they're healthy and active? Let's see when the Green Bay Packers play tomorrow maybe tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, depending on where you're at. So they start my time 1:25 p.m. Okay, so that's Pacific Standard Time. So on the East Coast, they would be starting at 4:30 p.m. If in fact you do not have another option in the afternoon slate of window, okay, for example, you don't have anybody on the Titans, Giants, Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs, Cardinals that would fill his, fill his position, then you have to go in not knowing and just assuming that they're going to play because they were limited at practice and just hope. That is risky. The fact that we're already having to make decisions like that in week 1, it already kind of presents how crazy this season is going to be. Okay. Let's see here. Amon-Ra St. Brown or Elijah Moore? I'd probably go with Amon-Ra St. Brown as of right now. He's going to be higher in my rankings tomorrow. I can assure you that, just off of kind of where we're going. Michael Carter or Tony Pollard? I'm kind of thinking Michael Carter at that point. Everything that has kind of been foretold as of the last couple of days is leaning in that direction. Tim Jenkins 502 says, I have Josh Allen. Should I trade Justin Jefferson for Stephon Diggs? No. No. Do not do that. You're overreacting, okay? You're overreacting off of one performance. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's look at some of these pick'ems, shall we? If y'all see one on screen that you like, let me know. But otherwise, like, dude, I've looked at a lot of these teams. I've looked at a lot of these players. I like the fantasy point higher or lower ones, but it's just so sketchy at some points. Like, they're super risky. Obviously, I was all in on going minus or lower, just going with all the negative outputs that possibly Cordero Patterson could put together. But this number, dude, I'm telling you, it's too good. I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier on today's episode. The idea of Elijah Moore playing well is probably going to take place because where's the stat? I have it somewhere here on screen. I did the research already. All right, here we go. Last season, okay, he was able to get over 60 receiving yards in 4 out of his 7 games. Again, that was with 4 different quarterbacks. Nonetheless, in Joe Flacco's last 5 starts, 2020 to 2021 with the Jets, he's always had at least one wide receiver with 8 or more targets or 62 or more receiving yards. If we're going to have a wide receiver that's going to be part of that trend, it's not going to be Corey Davis. It's not going to be Garrett Wilson. It's going to be Elijah Moore. Just putting it out there. A couple donations were sent in. Black Market says half PPR. 2 different teams. Flex Edmonds or Elijah Moore. And Hunt or Dameon Pierce. Okay, I'd rather play Hunt than Dameon Pierce. And if I'm playing on half PPR Edmonds or Elijah Moore, I'm probably going with Elijah Moore. Also, better waiver ad, bench for Duvernay or Jacoby Myers? Jacoby Myers. Hooper or Albert O this week? I'd rather have Albert O. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. DK, Zeke, or Bateman in the flex? Really good question. I'd probably go with DK there. Who do I start week 1? Justin Herbert or Russell Wilson? I play Justin Herbert. Again, the matchup against the Chargers is way too easy, guys. It really is way too easy. Okay, let me scroll down this list. What else we got here? Joey B. Is he going to throw for over 2 touchdowns? That seems unlikely. Where are some of these other numbers that I like that I didn't talk about yesterday? Tyreek Hill's always played well against Billy B. I just don't know if we're going to get that again this week. That's going to be one of those question marks. Antonio Gibson, I mean, the fact that his number is already 13.45 kind of gives us a little bit of credence on the idea that Antonio Gibson is probably going to play well this week. I mean, they have Jacksonville as the matchup. That's already something that we're kind of leaning towards in terms of playing. 22 receiving yards for J.D. McKissic is relatively likely. I think McLaurin over 61 receiving yards is probably on pace. Let's see here. What did we not talk about yesterday? I think there's a lot of ones that I just completely ignored yesterday and just surpassed. Let's go all the way to the bottom of this list. There's so damn many. Oh my goodness. Kelsey with 7 catches. That's an interesting one, to say the least. Juju with 5 catches or 48 receiving yards. That's a tricky one, huh? Marquise Brown, they only have a number of just fantasy points. Has nothing, no receptions, nothing of that extent, huh? A couple donations were sent in. Rob Castle says, need two, Christian Kirk, Rashad Bateman, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton. I'm playing the last two, Keenan Allen and Cortland Sutton there, Rob. Thank you. It's Magic says, Kittle, Freiermuth, Irv Smith, Njoku, or Albert. Oh, I play Freiermuth there against Cincinnati. Thielen or DK? I'd say play Thielen there. Mooney or Juju? I'd play Juju. Again, guys, a lot of the questions y'all are asking very easily will be answered tomorrow morning or have already been answered in my rankings video earlier this week. So again, they're there. They're available. For those of you who want more expanded rankings, top 32 quarterbacks, top 24 tight ends, top 60 running backs, top 80 wide receivers, top 120 flex for week 1, week 2, and going on so forth. You can check out the Patreon. The link is down in the description. You can go sign up there if you guys are interested and get those rankings from me updated weekly for fantasy football. And then you could obviously ask me whatever questions you have, unlimited questions via Patreon. Just send me a message on Patreon directly. And if you have trade questions, all that kind of stuff, good to go. They're back-to-back in your rankings. Yeah, but that's why you rank them back-to-back. If number 1 is better than number 2, then I wouldn't name number 2 behind number 1. You know, like, it doesn't make sense. Even if they're back-to-back. I understand you're asking that, but there's a reason why we rank them. It's not like I'm making it as a tier list where it's S tier through I tier. If I put a number next to it, that gives you the indication of my confidence. Let's see here. If London is out, do I play Sammy Watkins, Sky Moore, or Jahan Dotson? I'd play Sammy Watkins because I think Alan Lazard's going to be out. Let's see here. It's Magic says, okay, so we answered It's Magic's question. We're going Freiermuth there. A12345 says 2 quarterback league, half PPR, CEH or Dylan, Tua or Matt Ryan. CEH or Dylan. I play Dylan. Tua or Matt Ryan. I'm fairly certain. Let me confirm this. Where's my Patreon rankings? Quarterbacks. Number 17, Matt Ryan. Number 18, Tua. I'd go with Matt Ryan. It's close, but I'd go with Matt Ryan. It's Magic says, thoughts on Chubb/Thomas for Swift? Chubb and Michael Thomas for DeAndre Swift? Would I rather trade I'm basically thinking about it in terms of picks. I don't mind it. I'll take Swift there. Yeah, I'll take Swift in the long run. I mean, I think Chubb is very valuable early on in the season, but I think going forward, I'm okay with Swift in that regard. Cheeseburgers or tacos for dinner? What do you recommend? What do I recommend? It depends where you're getting it from, though. Are you making these at home, Andy? Or are you, like, what's the dealio? That's the real question. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do real quick is I'm going to swap back to our main screen. And I want to see what the heck is going on in this chat. AJ Brown or Tyreek Hill? I think I've already answered that in my rankings this week. I'm fairly certain, if I'm not mistaken, I have Tyreek Hill 1 slot ahead of AJ Brown. If you want to play it the other way around, by all means, be my guest. I don't have all the answers, guys. I'm not going to be 100% accurate. I can assure you that. Okay? So if you'd rather play one over the other, be my guest. You know, you are the final decision maker in your team's, process. You can ask me for my advice. I give it to you, but you got to make the decision at the end of the day. Go with your gut feeling. Kareem Hunt or Robert Woods? I'd probably go with Kareem Hunt, especially if it's a non-PPR scoring format in that regard. So no general comments concerning a running back or wide receiver in the flex spot. Just following rankings. What do you mean by that, Eagle? Like, no general comments concerning a running back over a wide receiver in your flex spot? Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I'm playing the better player. I'm not picking one over the other because of the position. I'm picking them over the other because of opportunity matchup and the various variables that go into the scenario. I don't really care what you play in the flex in terms of position. It could be a tight end that you put in the flex position. As long as they're getting ample opportunity, that's the entire impetus of the of playing a flex. You want to play someone that is going to score more points. So it doesn't matter in regards to what you have on roster. It's a matter of what you're going to score. What beard oil? I don't use any oil. Who would okay? This is a good question. Julio Jones or AJ Green? AJ Green is beginning to look a lot like a better option as we progress through the week because there's no Rondell Moore. There may not be any Zach Ertz in that offense. And if AJ Green can come down with 6 catches for 50 yards, dude, in a full PPR, that could be very enticing for just a solid week's play. That one is something we got to check in on tomorrow. I'm probably leaning in the direction of still playing Julio because I don't know about AJ Green. I think he's already washed. If we're talking about washed wide receivers, that's AJ Green, but he was still decent last year. Let's see here. Where do you see Denver this year? In terms of record, I don't even know what their schedule is. If I had to guess what their record is by season's end, they're probably over 500 for sure. They're probably going to be in that wild card contention. I just don't know if 4 teams from this division can make the playoffs because I know the Chiefs are going to win this division, either the Chiefs or the Chargers. But outside of those two, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to be a wild card team at that point. Let's see here. A lot of people have this Bateman and Kareem Hunt question. I guess it depends on scoring format. But if you have CEH in that regard, I think CEH is someone that I kind of don't want to mess around with. I think I'd rather just go Hunt over CEH at this point, especially against Arizona. Beard style, there's no such thing as a style. I'm just literally, living life. I just, I don't comb it. I don't touch it. I just, I let it live. Elijah Moore, Dameon Pierce. I'd rather play Elijah Moore. Would you rather start Zeke or Dameon Pierce? I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I'd rather play Dameon Pierce. I don't want to play Zeke this week. If I have a chance to not play him, I would take the chance to not play him. I know it could end up blowing up in your face because you leave a guy that gets 10 points on your bench while your starter who replaces him gets 7. But the fact that if you're going to need Zeke to score 10 points, that means that he's going to have to score a touchdown, purely. Unless Tampa Bay is the worst run-stopping team in the league and they've somehow, some way degenerated this offseason to that point, I'd lean into the idea that I'm probably playing Dameon Pierce there. Gentleman's Hangout Podcast says, I have Kupp. Okay, let's see here. I have Kupp, then mess with wide receivers. We have Lockett. Then I have Myers, Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, Josh Palmer, KJ Osborne, Treylon Brooks, then Christian Watson. You have to drop 2 out of this team. If I'm dropping 2 of these wide receivers, I'd rather drop Josh Palmer and I'd rather drop Nico Collins, and I'd keep the rest because I want those rookie wide receivers just to see how they pan out after week 1, see what kind of opportunity they get. Criminal Kids says, should I play Amari Cooper or Nyheim Hines in the flex? That's a good question. If Nyheim Hines doesn't score a touchdown, we're most likely not going to get much value out of him outside of like 7 points. So I'd probably just go Amari Cooper there. I think that he's probably a better play. You said Bateman over Harris. Your full PPR rankings have Harris at 50. I mean, listen, my rankings haven't been updated for tomorrow. There's a difference, right? If you guys remember, on Thursday, or not even on Thursday, on Wednesday, I specifically said about Bateman, I don't know what to do with him yet. We're going to have to wait and see what that offense looks like if J.K. Dobbins. You go watch the video back in terms of the Wednesday rankings. I said the same thing about Chris Godwin. I said the same thing about Michael Thomas. I don't know what I'm doing with them. When we get to Sunday morning, we will have updated rankings. No worries, no questions asked. You'll be fine. Let's see here. Thoughts on Woods this season? Could be a solid flex. I mean, I just... everything that I've seen from Woods this offseason is worrisome. He's a little bit slower than he was last year. He's obviously coming off the ACL. All of those factors on top of the fact that Treylon Burks could very easily take that spot on any, given play. A lot of the preseason, Treylon Burks was playing with backup quarterback. And if we're in a position where we're kind of sitting there thinking, if you actually have a good quarterback throwing him the ball, maybe he's a better option ultimately. Zeke or Edmonds behind Henry? I'd rather play Edmonds. Joman says, my question isn't being answered. Okay, let's see here. What we can do for you. What do you have? Please pick 2: Debo, Mike Williams, or Sutton. It's the same as my earlier this week rankings. I wouldn't really change it. I'm still going Debo and Mike Williams. I'd leave Sutton on the bench. What are your thoughts on Valdes-Scantling throughout the season? I think he's very much so a touchdown dependent deep ball receiving option. This team, specifically the Chiefs, they began leaning away from throwing it deep for a reason last season, because everybody was sitting in cover 2. If we're going to be in that kind of a spot where we're sitting in cover 2, Patrick Mahomes is just continuing to throw the ball into the slot position towards Kelsey, towards Juju. He's going to have to score, like a 60-yard touchdown for him to be, relevant in a given week. Maybe they use Marquez Valdes-Scantling differently than Green Bay did, but from everything that we saw from Green Bay, the fact that Aaron Rodgers was the back-to-back MVP and Marquez Valdes-Scantling couldn't be a weekly start, even in that offense, I'm thinking that the migration to the Chiefs offense just doesn't pan out well. Do you have updated rankings? No, they'll be posted probably later tonight, going into the morning on Patreon. Everything else that I have is just off the top of my head because I'm already preparing for it. I've already kind of made the adjustments on my my rankings list, and I'm just going off of it. I mean, I have it on my screen right here, but I'm just not gonna show it to y'all because I have it for tomorrow morning. Streaming tight end, should I go with Irv Smith this week or Robert Tonyan? I'd probably go Irv Smith this week. Robert Tonyan was limited all week at practice. Not sure at what capacity they'll be using him. They could get a lot of Josiah DeGuara, the backup tight end, in for him. So we'd probably just go away from that and just play Irv Smith being the lone tight end in that offense. Brandon Ayuk or Kadarius Toney? I'd lean towards Ayuk. Let's see here. What do we got? Melvin Gordon or Amari Cooper? Probably go Amari there. DJ Moore or McLaurin? I'd go with DJ Moore. AJ Dillon or Deontay Johnson in a half PPR. Again, I'd rather play. I'd probably just go with Deontay for right now. Yeah, let's go Deontay. Zeke or ETN? I'd play ETN. Edmonds or CEH? Give me Edmonds. Mike Gesicki or Njoku? I'd play Njoku this week. Jacobs or Penny? Give me Jacobs. Miles Sanders or AJ Dillon? Give me Miles Sanders. Better bench stash, Osborne, Dotson, or Palmer? I'm probably thinking Osborne. I like Palmer. Just don't know how much utilization that number 3 wide receiver is going to get in comparison to knowing that the Vikings offense, if it's going to look like McVay's offense, because of the new head coaching change, they're going to always have 3 primary wide receivers on the field. So I'd rather have Osborne. And then if I'm picking Jahan Dotson over Osborne, it could pan out, but again, Carson Wentz being able to help elevate 2 wide receiver options, McLaurin and someone else, seems unlikely to me. So I'd rather just go with Osborne and see what we end up happening in that offense. Okay, Dak or Burrow? I think right now I have Burrow ahead of Dak. Tyler says 50 TDs for Burrow this year if healthy all season. I mean, hey, it's possible. I wouldn't say that it's impossible, but I would also tell you that he's going to have to make some incredible strides. And those, 50 touchdowns is no joke. There's a reason why only 3 quarterbacks have ever done it, right? Brady, Manning, Mahomes. It's not an easy task at hand. Not easy at all. Hollywood Brown or Darnell Mooney? I'd rather play, or DK Metcalf? I'd rather play Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood would be my suggestion at that point. Kenneth Walker, a good stash? Yeah. I know he's not going to play this week, but going forward, could be a viable option if Penny ends up finding himself injured again, unfortunately. Jalen Waddle or Deontay Johnson. Right now, I'd probably say if Deontay's healthy, I'd rather have him in the lineup. Earlier this week, I had him lower. I had him higher in the wide receiver rankings, and then I had him lower on Patreon because he was dealing with the shoulder and was limited. He had a full practice on Friday, so I'm going back into the direction of Deontay there. How do you feel about Dak this week? Should I pivot toward Lawrence? No, I think Dak will be fine. I just think it's not going to be as glorious as it was last year. I think, what did he have? Like 400 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. I don't think we get to that point. It'll be far less. I'd probably be like 2 touchdowns, 300 yards. But I still think that's a viable enough option in comparison to like a Trevor Lawrence, like you were mentioning. CH or London? I don't think London plays, so I think I just roll with CH there, Rich. Mooney or Moore? I'd rather play Moore. Lots of energy, lots of focus. Yeah, listen, I'm trying to get as many questions answered as I possibly can to help you all out. Don't forget, there's 600 of you in here. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the channel, we'll be live streaming for 2 hours with updated rankings on screen for all 4 primary positions. I'll be answering questions, whether it is, answering questions that are in the chat like this one, or whether it's answering questions for people who send in donations. If a donation is sent in and that helps you answer your question, ultimately, that's great. But yeah, I think you'll have a better indication as to what the heck is going on tomorrow morning, because I'll have more information privy to me by tomorrow morning, because at that point, when you get to 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning, an hour before kickoff, the inactives list comes out from each individual team because they have to state it. Otherwise, they get fined like $50K. So they're going to define their inactive list, whether that is offensive linemen, cornerbacks, linebacker. There's a lot of differences that are going to be made within that final hour, which will kind of adjust a little bit of the rankings to its finest point, and then we'll be good to go at that point. And even if, we've had it during the regular season before, well, on a Sunday live stream, information comes out, and during the live stream, I've got to update the rankings. We'll just keep it like that. We're going to play it by ear and keep it moving. Couple donations were sent in. I know Kevin sent in a donation just right now, but I don't see a message attached to it, Kevin. If you could just type into the chat, that'd be great. Let's do this. What is this? Waddle, Juju, Ayuk, Kirk, Thielen. I'm probably leaning towards Waddle and Thielen, and then Juju, and then Ayuk, Kirk. ETN or Cortland? That's a good question. Probably Cortland. Yeah, probably Cortland. Half or full PPR, doesn't matter. Bateman or Michael Thomas? At this point, I'm probably going Bateman because I don't know if I can trust Michael Thomas this week. I think Michael Thomas is one of those project players where we kind of wait, we see what we get, and then we'll just play it, going forward. Did Kevin send in a message afterward? I don't see anything from Kevin. Should I drop either Irv Smith or Austin Hooper for Tunyon? Should you drop either of them? If you're going to drop one, you would drop Hooper. I would keep Irv Smith on roster. Should I start Darren Waller or David Njoku? Darren Waller, not even close. I have Eckler, Renfro, and Chargers Diva. That's fine. I know you're worried about stacking the game, but that's perfectly fine. He's just a better player over Njoku this week. Why is Darrell Williams not a good stash this year? Because Eno Benjamin has been given the second RB spot. So Darrell Williams is not the second running back on team. So he's not the immediate handcuff for James Conner. Eno Benjamin is. That's why at this point. He was great for Kansas City last year. Don't get me twisted. He really was great, but unfortunately, he's just not the number 2 guy on the team. Roy says Tua or Fields in a super flex. I'd rather play Tua. Kevin says Zeke or Deontay week 1. I'd rather play Deontay. Thank you. Nala says half PPR pick 2, Zeke, Penny, Deontay. Thoughts on Zeke moving forward? Zeke moving forward is perfectly fine. I think the matchup is awful though. Like let's put this in perspective, okay? Buccaneers schedule. Who do they play next week? Because whoever that running back is, they play against Alvin Kamara, okay? Luckily, Alvin Kamara, he gets consistent amount of receiving work, but dude, it's not going to be easy for him either next week. Like if I'm thinking off the top of my head, what can Alvin Kamara do against Tampa Bay next week? Unless he scores touchdowns, catches a couple balls out of the backfield, it's not going to be like a walk in the park in any regard. Like let me just see what he did against them last year. Last season against Tampa Bay, 4.1 points and 15.1 points. So we get a little bit of a difference. The biggest difference in one of those games had a rushing touchdown. In the other one, he had 11 rushes for 18 yards. I'm telling you, Tampa Bay is a menace to society. The week after, Tampa Bay takes on the Green Bay Packers. Just look at what Green Bay Packers had done to them last season when they took on Tampa Bay. The running game just doesn't exist, but at least we'll have it, receiving upside there, hopefully. Nonetheless, Zeke will be fine rest of season. Do not worry about that. For week 1, though, this is something that I'm planting the flag on. I'm not interested in playing him. I know what is to come. Patterson or Hines? I know Hines is less likely to get more touches, but I think he'll be more effective with said touches. I don't know what they're going to use with Patterson. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. If in fact Drake London is inactive tomorrow, I'd play Patterson because I think he'd be more active in the receiving game. If Drake London is active, I'd probably lean in the direction of probably going Nyheim Hines, especially if it's a full PPR. So that's what I'd venture to say at this point. Najee Harris or Damian Harris? No, I play Najee. He's the better of the two cousins. Zeke or Pierce? Yeah, we're playing Pierce. Herbert or Rodgers? I'd rather play Herbert. It's not even close. Jacobs or Gibson? That one is close in my eyes. That one's close. We'll talk about that tomorrow. That one's definitely close. Elijah Mitchell or Gibson? That one is also another close one. I'd probably say Gibson over Elijah Mitchell. But yeah, that one's close. Let's see here. J.K. Dobbins or Elijah Moore? As of right now, if J.K. Dobbins, I think J.K. Dobbins, similar to Michael Thomas, is one of those players where I'm going to wait and see what happens. So yeah, I think I'd just rather play Elijah Moore at that point. Prop question, Alvin Kamara over higher than 31 receiving yards. Is that actually the number they have him at, 31? Let me see here. Let me scroll up to the top of the screen. Alvin Kamara, 31 receiving yards. I'm going to probably say he could get it done, but it's, oh man, dude, that is super unlikely to be something that I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a guarantee. Because last year with Jameis, okay, weeks 1 through, 7, he was able to go over that number twice, only twice. In those games, one of them we had 5 catches, the other he had 10 catches. So outside of that, the first 3 games of the year where he had 3 catches, 4 catches, 3 catches, it was 8 yards, 25 yards, and 29 yards. So the likelihood of him going over that number against Atlanta, probably not too high. He could do it. He could do it off, 4 catches, 40 yards could happen like that. He's that kind of a receiving option. I don't know if they're going to lean into him that much. I think that's one of those higher lowers that I'm kind of leaning against or away from ultimately. Okay, what do we have here? Hooper or Mo Alley Cox? I'd rather play Hooper. Packers defense or Eagles? Let me see here. What do we have? My rankings on Patreon have the Eagles higher. Rather play the Eagles defense. Sutton or DJ Moore? I'd rather play DJ Moore right now. Pollard or CEH? I'd rather play CEH. Renfro or Marvin Jones? Renfro. Drake London, Zeke or Landry? At that point, I think I'm playing Zeke. Zeke or Brandon Cooks? Cooks. Metcalf or Penny? Metcalf or Penny? Probably Metcalf. I think they're going to be throwing a bunch tomorrow. Or on Monday, excuse me. Deontay Johnson or Rashad Penny? I'd rather play Deontay. Daniel sends in a donation. Thank you very much, Daniel. We answered Kevin's question of Brandon Cooks over Zeke, so we're good there. Okay, Daniel says start 2, Mooney, Julio, Hunt, or Pierce. If that's Damian Pierce, I'd probably lean towards in a half PPR. Am I going to play Mooney over Hunt or Pierce? That's a good question. I think in a half PPR, I'm more likely to play both those running backs. I think I'd just rather go Hunt and Pierce there. I like Mooney a lot. If it's going to rain tomorrow and we're going to get something of that scenario where Mr. Justin Fields is running for his life, barely able to get the ball out of his hands, I'm assuming that Mooney's probably not the best play in that regard. Ertz or Njoku? If Ertz is active, I'm willing to let it ride. In comparison to Njoku. If you had Fry or Muth, if you had Goddard, if you had Hawkinson, I'd lean elsewhere. But for right now, I'm probably sitting in the direction of just starting Ertz if he's active. Let's see here. Bateman or Sanders? I'd rather play Sanders. Purely. Okay, let's see here. David Njoku or Cole Kmet? I have Njoku higher. Brandon Cooks, Ayuk, or... Yeah, Brandon Cooks or Ayuk. I'd rather play Brandon Cooks there. Bateman or Michael Thomas? I'd rather play Bateman right now. Again, I'm waiting on Michael Thomas, guys, this week. Like, if you want to, take the initiative to play him, by all means do it. I think he could very easily have a good week. I just don't know what to expect. I don't know if that hamstring injury is something that could very easily re-aggravate, or could have him limited in the contest. So I'm just worried about that being a difference maker. And I'd rather just play the healthy wide receiver on an offense that's still in a good matchup than, you know, I know Michael Thomas is the better receiving option, but it's just tough. Don't spam like that, dude. Don't spam like that. That's the worst thing you can do is put a giant wall of text. Hines or CEH? Play CEH. Let's see here. Jacobs, Michael Thomas, Bateman. I mean, again, if I'm leaning away from Michael Thomas, then I'd probably play the other two there, right, Trevor? How do you feel about Nico Collins? I think Nico Collins could be perfectly fine, Kels. It's just, oh man, they play against Indianapolis. It's not that easy of a matchup. And Nico Collins is already behind the 8 ball in terms of not being the number 1 receiving option there. Maybe not even the number 2. I could very easily see, you know, Dameon Pierce getting himself 5 catches tomorrow just because they have to get the ball out of the poor kid's hands, Davis Mills. Jay Beats 14 says, non-PPR flex, Zeke, Bateman, Penny. Non-PPR, I play Penny at that point. Yeah, if I'm just going off of yards and a potential touchdown, I have to just trust that Penny can get the job done. Julio or McLaurin? I'm playing McLaurin tomorrow. For sure. Thoughts on Likely? I would have him on roster as my number 2 tight end. I'm okay with that in a deeper league, but it's nothing that I want to start tomorrow. I have him, let me see here. What do I have him ranked? In my tight ends list, I have him ranked 25. Like, it's to a point where I would ensure that I do not play him this week, regardless of how much excitement I have for the matchup. I just don't want to risk anything of that nature, potentially impacting my, you know, my first week's lineup. I'd rather just play my studs, whatever you have on roster. Ayuk or Sutton? Play Sutton, dude. 100%. Sutton for sure. Ramondre or CEH? That's a good one. I think they're relatively close. Where do I have Ramondre? I think I have Ramondre right behind him right now. I think I'd probably play CEH. Yeah, I'd probably play CEH there. Hollywood or Sutton? I have Hollywood ahead of Sutton right now. Does Lamar not getting a contract extension change anything? No, I think he's not going to hold out. He's in his final year of his contract. They'll probably hit him with a franchise tag next year if they're not able to do something. But as of right now, doesn't change anything. The guy's still got to come out, still got to perform. He's under contract to play. If he wants to hold out, he would have already done so way before. But I don't think that's the kind of mentality he has. He wants to go out and earn it, and he's going to be running against the Jets tomorrow. So I think he'll definitely be able to kind of, turn some heads with his performance in terms of the running game and passing game. Gesicki or Tonyan? I'd rather play Robert Tonyan this week. I'm Vaughn. Collins or Bateman? I'd rather play Bateman instead of Nico Collins. Mostert or Mooney? I'd rather play Mooney. I know you said Moody, but I'm assuming that's Mooney. Hit the like button. Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. If you all could hit the like button, certainly helps the channel out a lot. We've been here for about an hour and 40 minutes-ish. We're probably going to be closing out today's stream in about 20 minutes. Again, I will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Kick off with Kurikoff like we do every Sunday morning throughout the 2021, 2022, every season. Doesn't matter. We'll have updated rankings on screen. Top 16 updated quarterbacks and tight ends. Top 36 wide receivers, running backs. To give you an idea of what I mean by updated, we're going to be moving some players around. Players who were already ranked earlier this week that have played, for example, Bills and Rams, they will no longer be on that list. They will be extracted, so there'll be more players on the list available for you guys to check out if you're interested. Someone sent in a donation saying Mooney or Elijah Moore. I'd rather play Elijah Moore this week. And then Joshua sent in a donation. There wasn't a message attached, but maybe I can see if I can find your message here, Josh. What do we have here, Josh? Where is your question, my guy? Is there anything in the chat? Josh Stevenson, there it is. Should I be worried about Dawson Knox? I think we shouldn't be worried per se. I think we should just kind of expect that from him. Again, like I mentioned this during the tight end video on Thursday. The guy, I think in 10 out of his 15 games, was it 9 out of his 15 games last year, had 3 or fewer receptions. he is very much so a touchdown dependent receiving option. So if you opted not to go for a top tier tight end, like I mentioned in a lot of my videos this offseason, I said, unless I'm getting a top tier guy, I'm waiting and I'm going after Njoku, because I don't like that middle tier class, tight end player, because I know that they have to get touchdowns. And if that's going to be the case, that is far too risky for me to trust on a weekly basis. That being said, I still ranked Dawson Knox high enough because I thought, hey, maybe he could score a touchdown. I'm expecting the Bills to score a lot of points. Unfortunately, he wasn't one of the available options to score said touchdown. Instead, it was McKenzie, Gabriel Davis, and Stephon. Drop Akers? No, do not drop Akers. You are overreacting already, and it's not even Monday yet, okay? You cannot overreact on a Saturday. It's too early. Let's see here. A couple more questions sent in. Dre says, JK or Patterson is my RB2. If Dobbins is active tomorrow, I'd rather play him over Cordero Patterson. I'll say that objectively. Trade Judy for Edmonds? No, I'd rather have Judy, I think, long-term. Thinking to myself, as of right now, unless you are in desperate need of a running back, I'd just keep Judy there. Just keep him for... Yeah, I'd keep Judy there. Caleb Vasquez says, Elijah Mitchell or Hunt as my running back in a full PPR. I'd rather play Elijah Mitchell outright. Not even close. Hunt is way lower down in my mind right now in terms of rankings. Becerra says, Elijah Moore or Miles Sanders in a full PPR? Ooh, good question. Really good question. In a full PPR as of right now, Elijah Moore or Miles Sanders, what are we doing with them this week? If Elijah Moore is going to catch the ball 5 times for 50 yards, and he has more upside than I think of just that alone, Miles Sanders is going to have to put up like a monster game. I'd play Elijah Moore in a full PPR over Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders is good. I just don't think he's going to get that much receiving work in comparison. Now, I've done the research. Last year, him and Gainwell, they split total receptions out of the backfield when both of them were active and healthy. So I know he'll catch a couple passes. I just don't think it'll be enough to where his services of getting 60 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown is going to be more than the upside of what we could potentially find from Elijah Moore this week. Thielen or Pickens, it's not even close. It's Thielen by like a wide margin, like literally like 30 ranks in between one another. Gesicki or Hawkinson, not even close. Play Hawkinson. Guys, have you guys not watched our videos this week? Like, yo, come on. You're not playing Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki has had one good game against the New England Patriots his entire career. That was in 2019. In the last 4 games he's played against Bill Belichick, he has scored less than 4 points in every single contest in fantasy. Do not play Mike Gesicki this week. If you play him, best of luck. I hope he scores 3 touchdowns for you. But as of right now, I'm trying to save you from the potential pain of what Mike Gesicki could provide for your roster. Chargers defense going to be a thing this year. I doubt it. I mean, I don't think they will. I think the Chargers are still the Chargers at their core. I'm hoping that their defense, changes of bringing in Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Kyle Van Noy, I hope those differences are made and it's an impact that we could actually tangibly see. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Trey Lance or Aaron Rodgers, I'd rather play Trey Lance. Asta Senpai says, Kareem Hunt or Robert Woods this week in a full PPR? Kareem Hunt or a Robert Woods? I don't know what to expect from this Tennessee Titans team. I'd probably say let's go with Kareem Hunt there. That's where I'm leaning in the direction of. 49ers defense, question mark? I love them this week. I think I have them ranked. Where are they at? Where's my rankings? I've got 49ers as my number 3 ranked defense on the week. In Chicago, kind of, cold weather game. Nah, it's not going to be cold, but still. Rainy maybe. I'd definitely like to play them against Justin Fields. Let's see here. Should I play? Okay, how confident are you with Zach Ertz? How confident am I with Zach Ertz? Or would I rather play Everett? Oh man. I think I'm confident enough in the idea that if he's available to play, they wouldn't play him in week 1 if they knew he couldn't go. Okay? It's only week 1. I don't think they need to force it. So with that said, if he's available, I'd rather play him because I know at that point he's ready to go. Waddle or Christian Kirk? I'd rather play Christian Kirk. I mean, sorry, I'd rather play Waddle. I saw Christina Kirk and I was like, wait a minute. And it just kind of threw me off. Yeah, I'd rather play Waddle for sure. Eagles or Bucks defense? Eagles. I think I have them higher. Let me see. What do we have? Yep, I have Eagles one spot ahead of the Bucks. Okay, a couple more donations sent in. Let's see here. Leo says full PPR Thielen or Hunt. Thielen. Rhode Island says Pitts, Hunt, Bateman, or Patterson in a flex full PPR. I'd rather play Kyle Pitts there if I have the chance. Magic says Woods, London, Lockett, Patterson. Woods, London, Lockett, or Patterson. If London is active, I'll play him. Otherwise, I'll play Woods. Who's your favorite team? As of right now, it's either the Chargers or the Rams, both LA teams. I'll take them both. Outside of that, I really don't care, even if the Rams or Chargers win. Like, I'm not that attached to it to where like they have to win every week. I just love fantasy football. I love players and I love rooting for offenses. If anything, I just hate defenses as a whole because those are the number one reasons why our teams just don't score any points. Is Corey Davis a start this week? I don't think so. I think Corey Davis is certainly going to be in the mix, but I don't think he's a startable option. He can certainly come down with a touchdown. It's in the realm of possibility, but I don't think that's something that we can account for as a guarantee in any regard. Dylan or Zeke? I'd rather play Dylan. Do you see Jared Goff having a sleeper season? I've ranked him as such. I mean, I had him within my top 24 quarterbacks. I just don't know if it's even remotely possible that he can have a sleeper season. If DeAndre Swift plays as well as we want him to, there's going to be a lot of rushing touchdowns that are going in his direction instead of some passing touchdowns for Goff. Let's see here. Lockett or Olave? I'd probably play Chris Olave instead of Lockett. Thoughts on the Saints defense? I think I have them as my number one ranked defense in the week. I do. I have New Orleans as my number one. I have Indianapolis as my number two. San Francisco as my number three. So if you have New Orleans defense, congratulations. We're finding success this week. Should Eno Benjamin be rostered? If you're worried about Connor and his injury history, then sure. But otherwise, you don't have to. Waddle or ETN? That's a good question. In a PPR, I'm probably leaning towards Waddle. Let's see here. Stevenson or Kirk in a half PPR? I'd probably go Christian Kirk there. St. Brown or Elijah Moore? I think I answered this before. I think I'm going St. Brown. Yeah, I go St. Brown. Judy or Pickens? Why are we so hyped on Pickens? I know he played well in the preseason, but dude, Judy's still that guy. I don't know why you guys are forgetting that idea. Bobby Trees or Amon-Ra? Play Amon-Ra St. Brown, my guys. No issue. Amon-Ra is a player. He's going to be way higher ranked in my rankings, assuming that the interior of that offensive line is decimated. Imagine, dude, that Philadelphia Eagles defense, if both the center and right guard are missing for the Lions tomorrow, the Eagles are going to completely get after them. I mean, you have Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. They drafted the rookie defensive tackle, out of Georgia. Dude, they're going to be getting after them. It's going to be tough for that Detroit Lions offensive line to stay, in a pretty sound position. And it's going to be tough for them to run the ball on top of it. St. Brown or Cooper? St. Brown. Hollywood or ETN? Hollywood. Gibson or Edmonds? Gibson. Rashad or Kareem Hunt? I'd probably play Kareem Hunt. Elijah Moore or Brandon Cooks? Brandon Cooks. Juju or St. Brown? Juju or St. Brown? Probably Juju Smith-Schuster. But that one could be a toss-up. I think they're probably going to be back-to-back in my rankings. We'll have that answer for sure tomorrow morning. Waddle or Swift in a non-PPR? I'd have to lean towards the running back. If Waddle's not getting the benefit of receiving points, I just can't trust it. UB Kim says, Bateman in the flex with Ayuk or Rashad. I got Bateman at flex. Replaced with Ayuk or Rashad. Do I play Ayuk over Bateman in like a half PPR scoring format? I'm playing one of those two receivers most likely. As to who, that is something that I'm thinking. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm trying to think, what is the potential outcomes of that game? And can I trust Bateman to at least succeed in said potential outcomes? I'd probably just play Ayuk there. Bateman's one of those guys that I kind of want to wait and see if I can get Marquise Hollywood numbers out of him if I have the chance to. Otherwise, you play him and you're happy with it because he's the number one of that offense, and they're going to throw the ball a pretty good amount of times tomorrow. Alrighty. So we're about 10 minutes from closing out today. Thielen or Patterson? Play Thielen. Come on. I want to thank you guys for joining me this afternoon. Hopefully we can do this more often. Every Saturday most likely will be a thing that we can continue to repeat this on. Again, a couple reminders before we close out today. Tomorrow morning, like I mentioned, I know you guys have heard me say it about 10,000 times, but I want to mention just in case anybody got in here new. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, so that would be 11 a.m. Eastern. That'll be the start of our show here. We will be going for 2 hours before the NFL kickoff begins for Sunday. I will have updated rankings at our 4 primary positions: quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, and running back. Those will be available on screen like we did last season, where I will be sitting in the bottom corner over here, and I will have the rankings all over the place over here, and I'll just be answering questions, trying to help you guys out before kickoff. If you guys want updated rankings at its fullest capacity, you can check out the Patreon down in the description. If that's something that you're interested in, with all the benefits there, you can check that out and you can take advantage of it. Outside of that, if you are already a part of Patreon, expect updated rankings later tonight and potentially even tomorrow morning, depending on the information and the research that I do this afternoon. That pretty much covers it. Monday, we'll have waiver wire. Tuesday, back to the running back. Wednesday, wide receiver. Thursday, quarterback and tight end video. Friday of next week, we'll talk about some must starts. Saturday, we'll probably talk about some trade targets. Actually, we'll talk about trade targets on Monday. Nonetheless, okay. Now that we're all on the same page, let's go ahead, answer a couple more questions. A couple donations were sent in. Mohammed, thank you very much. I appreciate it. PPR flex. Of the available options that you mentioned, Mohammed, I would rather play Judy over all of them. That would be over Pollard, Melvin Gordon, and Olave. Jacob, thank you very much. Says Melvin Gordon, AJ Dillon, Michael Thomas, or Brandon Cooks in a full PPR. I'd rather play Brandon Cooks out of the 3 options you have available. Thank you. Ertz or TJ Hawkinson? I'd rather play TJ Hawkinson there. I appreciate that. Great show. Thank you very much. Juju or Christian Kirk? Juju. Again, guys, a lot of the questions will be answered tomorrow. If you're not available, you got somewhere to be, something like that, I understand. You're trying to get the questions answered now, but I will be there. You can pop it open on your phone, even if you're at church or something. I don't know where you guys are going to be at. Maybe some of you guys are going to be at a rave or at a party until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I doubt it, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure we're all going to be home glued to our TVs. So join us tomorrow morning. Should be fun. A couple more questions. Deontay Thielen or Kirk in the flex full PPR? As of right now, I'm probably leaning toward Deontay Thielen and Kirk in that exact order, just like I had earlier this week. How do you feel about Renfrow? I think Renfrow could be great. I think the fact that Adams is there and Waller is healthy could certainly stretch the field and give him a lot of opportunity down underneath on those shorter routes. He's definitely been a red zone threat. He has scored 3 receiving touchdowns in the last, 3 games against the Chargers? Some crazy number like that. He's certainly scored his fair share of touchdowns against that defense. He's going to continue to be a red zone threat. So I like him. He probably moves into my top 36 rankings once I've gone ahead and removed my Rams and my overall, what's their names? Bills from the overall top 36. He probably moved into that bottom end of the top 36. But again, he's at the bottom end because if he's not scoring a touchdown, I'm not sure that the receiving yard total is going to be there. You got to remember that last season, Renfrow's primary value was because he was scoring touchdowns once Waller left and got injured in that Dallas Cowboys game on that given Thursday. So do not forget, I think he scored at 9 touchdowns last year. If he's not in that kind of realm, we're going to be in a pretty difficult situation to start him in that regard. Waddle or Judy? I'd rather play Waddle. Albert O or Hunter Henry? As of right now, I have Hunter Henry higher, just purely off of looking for touchdown upside between the two. Ertz or TJ? Again, it's definitely going to be TJ Hawkinson this week. Fournette and Jacobs for Kamara? No, I'd rather have Fournette and Jacobs. Kamara could get suspended at any time. I don't know why you would risk it like that. You're giving away a lot of running back depth for just one player. Unless you have some other stud running back sitting there waiting, or another 2 or 3 waiting, you're giving away a lot of depth for someone that could end up disappearing after 2 weeks here. I doubt it's going to happen. I doubt he gets suspended, but you never know. Anthony Barrett says PPR Damian Harris or Kareem Hunt. In a full PPR scoring format, I think I'm still going Damian Harris there. JK says ETN or Edwards. We're going to go ETN this week in a full PPR. JK Sebastian Alex says flex Josh Jacobs, Montgomery, or Brandon Cooks in a half PPR. I like Josh Jacobs this week out of the bunch of those guys. Aaron Orozco, welcome back. Familiar name. Thank you very much. Says, do I trade Najee Harris / Hollywood Brown for Javonte Williams and Michael Pittman Jr. in a full PPR scoring format? I already have the following. No, I would keep Najee Harris and Hollywood Brown on roster. Thank you. Okay. I appreciate you all coming out. I appreciate the compliments. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I heard a lot of you guys say that the weekly rankings that we did last year, where I showed you guys the rankings 1 through 12 on every page, those will return starting Monday. You'll see those graphics. They're not going to be on screen the whole time because I still want to present as much information I can in terms of fantasy points, in terms of the matchup, so you have a better idea. Instead of just listening, you can actually see some of those numbers. I do mention it anyway, but those will return. The 1 through 12s, so you can see your players in a grander scheme, they will return. Hopefully those help. I've been working a lot, 18 hours a day nonstop, for the singular goal of trying to give you guys as good of content as possible and be as accurate as I possibly can be. Thank you. All right. A couple more here. Danny says, Hunt, Kirk, Dillon, Lazard, Penny. Lazard's not playing tomorrow. And if I'm picking out of the group, I would like to play Dillon. I would like to play Hunt. Those would probably be the two that I would like to play. We'll talk about it tomorrow at a greater capacity. But for sure, you're picking between two of those three running backs. That's currently my position. Unless it's a full PPR, then we can get Christian Kirk into the conversation. But otherwise, Dillon and Hunt are the guys that I'm kind of looking towards. Everett or Tunyon in a full point PPR 12 team. I'd rather play Everett this week. Thank you for the donation. Joseph says, grade my team. Oh, really? We're still grading teams, huh? Let's see here. What is the grade of this team? Let me scroll back up here. We have Russell Wilson, Cook, Mixon, CeeDee Lamb, Pittman. Okay, what kind of a league are we playing? Is it 10 team? I think it's probably 10 team, right? We have Javonte Williams and flex. Albert O. We punted at tight end. McPherson's good. Broncos defense. That's my number 5, I think, this week. ETN on the bench. Dillon. Holy moly. Okay, so you have a problem. You have too many good players. This is a good problem to have, but yes, you have a pretty damn good looking team there, Joseph. I appreciate it. There's a last donation here before we close out today's video. No more donations. We can cut that off, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys sending that in my direction and support the channel. Who do I start? Tyler Lockett, Tyler Boyd, or Ezekiel Elliott? I think you're probably playing Zeke based on the idea that it is Zeke. I don't trust Tyler Lockett. I don't trust Tyler Boyd. Mainly because I don't think that Joe Burrow is... I mean, there's a chance that Tyler Boyd scores a touchdown. Is it as high as... Zeke potentially scoring a touchdown by them getting to the 1 yard line and punching it in? Probably not. So I'd probably go Zeke there. Tyler Lockett is one of those players that I kind of want to wait and see what they do with him and how much utilization he gets, how much snaps he plays, how many targets, all of that kind of jazz before I end up, getting it going. Is Kadarius Toney a start? Yeah, I don't mind him as a start. I think Tennessee, their biggest weakness is stopping receivers. Their biggest strength is stopping the run. So as a whole, they should be throwing the bunch. It's just a matter of whether or not Daniel Jones can get it done. Looks like an 8-man squad. It's possibly. I mean, it looked like a really good team. So I was under the assumption based on the starting lineup that it could have been a 10-team league. But yes, it could very easily be a 8-team roster. Juju or DJ Moore? I would say DJ Moore. Yeah, DJ Moore. Yep. Okay. Lost Lazard and Kittle already before the season. Yeah, this is rough. I mean, again, it is rough. That's the thing that I was mentioning earlier. The fact that there are so many injury questions before we even get off the ground is so concerning. Kyler Murray or Trey Lance? I played Kyler this week. It's so concerning. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Elijah or Penny? I'd rather play Elijah. Okay, that's going to conclude today's stream. 2 hours in the books. I appreciate you guys. Tomorrow, 2 more hours of the same kind of content with more rankings, more definitive statements in terms of, hey, this is over this, do this. I appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate for those of you who sent in donations. I appreciate those of you who sign up for your Patreon. If you have any questions, just send me a direct message on Patreon regarding, starts or sits. I'll be able to answer that. You can send me as many as you want. You can also connect to me on Discord. via Patreon so that you can just get a quicker response in that regard. But outside of that, if you guys haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, again, we did a couple drafts, we did a couple pick'ems, a lot of fun to be had there. Again, if you're just trying to play fantasy football outside of your own team's basis, that's the way to do it. Play the pick'ems game, pick over, pick a higher or lower on those given stats. Sign up today using promo code Andrew. There's a link down in the description when you do. First time deposit match up to $100. Check it out. And until tomorrow, everybody, I'll see you guys. Peace.